Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN SportsWrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN SportsWrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. Because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN SportsWrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry. But you stay on hard.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. Because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
But you stay on hard.
Take two, Bryan.
All right. Hello, welcome to a live edition of the BCSN Sports Wrap. I was going to act like take one never happened, Drew, until you did that. So anyway, welcome to a live edition of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We got our shoes laced up. We got the proper uniform. We got the same matching undershirt to match the jersey. And we're ready to play ball tonight. So those of you who know, you know. Thanks to everybody on the YouTube feed. I would say Facebook feed, but we're trying to figure that out. So hopefully you guys are hearing us. If you're in the chat room, give us a thumbs up. Shout out to Tamara T, Mary 305, Walter Harley, C. McGinnis in there, psychedelic literature, Bulls in there. So give us a thumbs up in the chat room. Make sure you guys are hearing us. Go and hit that thumbs up button as well. And, that way we know everything is working well. I forgot my stream that I like to look at here is actually a few minutes behind. So, that's one little thing that we'll see here in a second. So Drew, how you doing How you doing tonight?
Doing fine, my brother. Doing fine. It was a pleasure to be with you. Actually, calling a ball game on yesterday, as it felt like we went home for a minute as we went to do a game, Edward Waters versus Morehouse, on the campus of Edward Waters University. And I don't know about you if you were paying attention when you came through there, but as I rode through campus at Edward Waters, it's probably been almost 2 years since I've been down there to that campus, just shy of 2 years. And the things that President Faison has done at Edward Waters in those 2 years since the last time that I have been on that campus. Shout out to you, President Faison, and all the members of the Board of Trustees, or whatever you guys call it, at Edward Waters as the oldest HBCU in the state of Florida. And I'm gonna stay on my Edward Waters rant for a moment. Edward Waters is a privately funded HBCU university, an urban privately funded HBCU. But whatever they are doing down there at Edward Waters, uh, they need to model that and show that to a few other schools, because the growth that we've seen that I've seen in the 5 years that I've been going back and forth to that school frequently, as part of the Black College Sports Network, and with a few other things. But the growth that I've seen there from the stadium, they've got tennis courts under construction. They've remodeled the Adams Jenkins Center. They are talking about a baseball facility, playing building a new baseball facility, and so many other things. So just, what a private HBCU can do with the right leadership and the right plan. And I wish that there were more public and private HBCUs that could put their money where their mouth is and do the things that they've been talking about doing. Oh, by the way, I meant to throw this one in, Bryan. It went from Edward Waters College to Edward Waters University. That was a big step in transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II. Forgot about those two major steps as they are giving out graduate degrees there on their campus now. So not only academically but athletically, what they're doing there on their campus.
Yeah, you know what? I think we ought to make a point. And obviously, I don't know how much is part of the secret sauce, but I would love to find a way to do a nice sit down conversation with Dr. Faison and find out the transition over these 4 to 5 years. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to be able to talk, because one of the first things that I was paying attention to as I came onto campus was just the signage. And I think every time that I've come on campus, as I come down King Street off of 95, King Road. I don't go there all the time. I know it's King something, King Road, King Road. I know that Kings Road. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
See you. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to offend any. I don't want to offend any Edward
Well, it's
Tiger.
not.
That's the only reason I'm doing you
Okay.
like
I
that.
got you. I got you. People know what I'm talking about. You know, the folks from Edward Waters know what I'm talking about. All right. I don't go to Jacksonville, but to go to Edward Waters event. So, you know, no shade on Jacksonville, but that's why I go. I go to Jacksonville for Edward Waters events. That period. Okay. So, that's my recognition.
Since FAMU doesn't play there anymore.
Yes, exactly. But no, I look at the signage. I take a look at the signage, and this was the first time coming through. I noticed the EWU sign on the fences. In terms of just on campus coming down that main road, you can still see a lot of the older buildings that maybe had still a few old EWC or Edward Waters College signage, which I hope you don't ever get rid of. I mean, that's part of the old history and nostalgia of the school, sort of as you transition into what you are now. But still, it's good to be. I think, and that was the first time I'd actually been in the Adam Jenkins community sports and music complex. I got it right. See, look, you were waiting on me to mess that up. Look at you. You were ready to jump in there and correct me.
To say.
Yes,
no,
I
wasn't, because I wasn't gonna get it right. When you got to the end, I'm like, he gonna leave the music off. He gonna leave the music off.
No. I got it right. Exactly. No, I made sure to get it right. It's a mouthful, no doubt. But no, it's the first time that I've had a chance to be in the repurposed or redone stadium with the beautiful court and the new bleachers, since we were there previously to that, and so everything looks great. Yeah, everything's great, first class. The court is outstanding, very different, very unique. So I enjoyed, and then the digital boards, which is really nice too. So there's a lot of nice improvements that have been made. Obviously, we've been to the football stadium, but yeah, I mean, being able to talk to Dr. Faison and just find out the steps, and that he and the previous athletic director, Dr. Bryant, went through. Now you have Dr. Rice, Ivana Rice, who's I had a great conversation with her at halftime. And so it's how about that? So I know some of the things that I'm sure she will try to come in and implement some things with some of the other facilities.
She walked into a good situation.
She did. It's a great opportunity, coming from where she was at Norfolk State for several years prior to coming over to Edward Waters. She's coming into a great environment here. So yeah, and we had
elbow hit the button.
Yeah, that's all right. We had a good game too. Morehouse and Edward Waters. That's Morehouse. I tell you now, Morehouse is a team that I will be paying attention to and see what they're able to do here down the stretch in the SIC. They might be a spoiler team for somebody. We'll talk more about the SIC men coming up, but they may be a spoiler team for somebody, and then we'll just kind of see what's happening. I had a chance to run into some old friends. I call her Miss EWU. Miss LaQuanza Glover. Since we started covering Edward Waters a few years, all we've watched LaQuanza kind of grow up and just be a dominating presence to the point where I believe they're going to be retiring her number this next weekend on Saturday when they host Savannah State.
Weekend.
Yeah, so against Savannah State, they'll be retiring her number, well deserved. And so she's an outstanding and again, she plays with a big presence, but she is not a quote unquote big. She's a big in a guard body.
She's a post in a guard's body.
Yeah, post in a guard body. Yeah, better way of saying that. She's an outstanding player.
She was a walking double as a player.
Oh, easily. 20 and 10 every night.
And sometimes 20 and 20.
Yeah, she did drop a few. I think of all the, and I'm trying to think back. I've only seen a handful of 2020s. We had her.
do a 2020.
Amisha
Alabama
Williams.
A&M's. Amisha Williams dropped a 2020. Alabama A&M. Dariana Lewis dropped a
Dariana
2020,
Lewis.
I believe. And so, talk about the rare distinction. If you guys in the chat room can recall anybody else dropping 2020s
Male or
recently over the
female.
past, yeah, male or female. I mean, is that rare feat? So, if there's anybody that we left off there,
And Brian, you know, LaQuaza Glover and Amisha Williams were the only ones that I recall dropping multiple 2020s, not only in the same season, but over their career. Because I know that both of the last season of collegiate ball, both of them had multiple 2020 games. I believe they had 2 apiece. And now I'm going off of Bibry, but I know they had at least 2 apiece during that last campaign that they had on the collegiate basketball court.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's definitely. Congratulations, LaQuaza.
Yes, congratulations.
As you work on your master's degree.
True that. Which I think she said she'll be graduating either spring or in December. She told us one of the two, possibly December. But anyway, hey, okay. So coming up on the show, we got to talk. We're going to try to get into recap in the past week. A lot of basketball stuff to talk about. Also, some impressive performances at the Reese's Senior Bowl yesterday by Aubrey Miller of Jackson State and Isaiah Land of Florida A&M. And there was also the East-West Shrine. I was looking up. That was a couple of days before. I think that was on Thursday night. So those guys, there were 4 HBCU guys. We'll talk about them coming up as well. National Signing Day was this past week. Curious to see what you guys think in terms of who had really impressive signing days. And we're primarily going to focus on the FCS level. And I know from the Division II level, there were schools that had their signing days. But in terms of ranking those, we'll get into that maybe a little bit later in the next month or so. But a lot of early back and forth in terms of the FCS. I think consensus is that Jackson State had the best HBCU recruiting class. Florida A&M had number 2. I don't know how big a margin it was for some people. I know what I found interesting after that, after the top 2, I saw a difference, Drew, in the next group of teams. Like I went to 24/7 Sports just to kind of see in their overall rankings where you see HBCU schools. And it's totally different than what I know I saw. What was it? Light On Sports may have dropped one. There might be another poll out there, but I'm just kind of gathering, trying to find what people have been ranking their recruiting classes at. So we'll kind of get into that and see what we can find in the next day or so. But we'll talk about that. You had the HBCU Legacy Classic played last night, and other basketball games. In the second hour of the show, we're going to talk to our good friend Charles Edmond from Alcorn State Sports Radio Network. We'll talk about the Braves. We'll talk about their non-conference schedules. Schedules are a big thing right now because a lot of schools drop their schedules, and we'll kind of go from there. What's on your mind, Drew? What do you want to jump in and talk on first? Because we can go any number of directions here in this first hour. What's on your mind right now?
What's on my mind? First of all, don't forget we do have a second guest coming on at about a quarter of the second hour, about 6:45 Central, and that is going to be Mr. Darrell Wade of the Astros Foundation with the Cactus Jack HBCU Classic that will be occurring in Houston in less than 2 weeks, Brian. It is a week from Friday. They will have opening play of that. So he will also be coming on to tell us about that. Bryan, it's baseball season already, man. Lord Jesus. Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
this past weekend you had baseball, softball, bowling, tennis, track and field. That's 5 spring sports happening outside of men and women's basketball. So you
Yes.
include all of that. I mean, that's a lot for your SIDs. And I put a tweet out earlier on Saturday. I said, now's a good time for people to be supportive of your HBCU athletic programs. You know, the SID, say a prayer for these SIDs, man. They're going to
It's
be,
officially crossover season for SIDs.
yes, it's going to be some long days, long nights trying to keep fans and updated, trying to keep media updated. The best thing you guys, regardless of who your school is, whether it be a conference mate or your own school, best thing you can do is when you see some information from your school, retweet it. Let people within your circle know what's going on. Make these SIDs feel like their work is being shared and reciprocated and appreciated. Send them an email, support, donate. There's a great time. I know it's tax season and all, or we're just getting our W-2s and we're finding out whether we got to pay taxes or whether you're gonna get a refund or not. But it's a good time to start thinking about donating to your spring sports, especially your softball, baseball programs, and your Olympic sports right now. They definitely need the funding and could use the support. You look like you were about to add something in there when I said all that.
No, man, you just preached a sermon that I've been preaching for years, working with sports information and a few other things. It's a tremendous task trying to keep up with all that stuff, especially when you have multiple home events, let alone multiple events, period. So a lot of long nights for some SIDs. That's why they can't wait till the month of June when it's just like no sports are going on, period. And they can relax for a couple of weeks before everything kicks back in with football.
Right, right. Okay, let me start then. I'll start with just kind of just recapping for those who might have missed the Reese Senior Bowl and also the East West Shrine game. Two of the bowls, two of the college bowls that took place. Drew, also take a look at the dates on the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Just have that in the back pocket, if you would. I'm curious about the date on that. I'm sure it's probably a couple weeks away. But the Reese Senior Bowl was held in Mobile, Alabama yesterday, and that's one of the more established, well-known Senior Bowls where you're going to have a host of Power 5 Division I seniors and a heavy influence of NFL scouts that'll be in attendance. This year, only 2 HBCU players were a part of the Reese Senior Bowl. They were both SWAC Defensive Players of the Year. You had Isaiah Land, who was the Buck Buchanan Award winner and SWAC Defensive Player of the Year in 2021. And you had Aubrey Miller, who was the SWAC Defensive Player of the Year. Both of them are HBCU All-Americans without a doubt. And, Aubrey Miller from this past season, of course, Jackson State with the unbeaten regular season. They both impressed. They both impressed according to not only just the numbers, but the reviews that they received from the coaches and coaching staff. Of course, Aubrey Miller is more of a middle linebacker, had 7 tackles in the contest, had a nice highlight of one of his tackles I did see. And then Isaiah Land, who when he won the Buck Buchanan Award, he was more of a defensive end for Coach Simmons and FAMU. He played not only a little bit of that position, but I think they also tried to look at him as also an inside linebacker. So he played a little bit in that role. He had 2 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and a sack. Both players earning some praise from coaches and scouts alike. I think I didn't have the numbers. I know the Reese's had sent out what the numbers were for both guys, but I think Miller comes in just under 6 feet tall. I think maybe about 5'10", 5'11", more like 5'11". Land comes in about 6'3" and some change, and so both guys really project really well. And what's helpful is that in the previous year, you had guys like James Houston, who went 7th round, I believe, to Detroit, ended up with the most team sacks, more so than number 1 pick Hutchinson from Michigan. So Houston really proved that you can come from Jackson State, you can come from an HBCU and make an impact. What's impressive, Miller spent 2 years at Jackson State prior to transferring from a Power 5. And then you have Land, who was an look, he tells the story. I think he didn't have very many offers other than FAMU. He wasn't really on a lot of people's radar. So probably one of the biggest recruiting finds in the Coach Simmons era at FAMU was Isaiah Land, who turned into what he became. And so he was he was a pure HBCU product. So congratulations to Aubrey Miller and Isaiah Land. Hopefully we see those guys. I don't know if they are participating in any more bowls. I think Land was invited to the combine, the NFL combine. Not really sure about Miller. So we'll kind of take we'll keep our ears to the ground on that. Did you find the dates on the HBCU Legacy Bowl, Drew?
Yes, HBCU Bowl is 3 o'clock Saturday, February 25th at Yeoman Stadium in New Orleans, Louisiana. And it's going to be aired live on the NFL Network.
Okay, I believe that's where Tulane plays. So that's the stadium that Tulane University plays in. So we'll see. I've seen the invites continually going out on Twitter. If you're following HBCU Legacy Bowl, that bowl represented itself real well last year, and so hopefully continued success and growth this year. The East West Shrine Bowl was played a couple of days. That was on February 2nd, I believe. What was that? Maybe Tuesday? No, Wednesday was the first. That was Thursday. On Thursdays, the East West Shrine game, Shrine Bowl was played. You had 4 HBCU players in that one. You had Shaq, 2 outstanding actually 3 outstanding receivers. 2 of them with really good size that I think will have size that'll have scouts salivating. Of course, there's Shaq Davis from South Carolina State, Jadakiss Bonds from Hampton, and then Dallas Daniels from Jackson State, who got some heavy praise during the practice week, which really, that's where these guys have the shine. Anybody who's not familiar with how these bowls work, there's about a week of practice time that's done with these guys going up against each other. That's where a lot of the scouts, are watching.
That's where they get their true evaluation.
Exactly. So all 3 of those receivers showed well from what I've read and heard. And if you're familiar with Hampton or South Carolina State or Jackson State, the numbers are there. The skills are there for those 3. What's interesting though, Drew, is that receiver is. I mean, look, there's 100 receivers. I'm exaggerating the number.
He was a dime a dozen.
Probably about 50. There's about 50 receivers. Well, put it like this: going into this NFL, this era, would you rather be a dime a dozen receiver or a dime a dozen running back?
Oh, I'd much rather be a receiver, because receivers still get drafted in the first round. anytime you see a running back drafted before the 3rd round, he got to be something special.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah,
longevity is much longer as a receiver than as a running back. Even though I really don't understand why, because they don't pound the ball like the era that we saw when we were growing up. You don't see the Franco Harrises and the Otis Andersons and the just bruiser backs. You don't see John Riggins. You don't see Earl Campbell type backs anymore. Everybody, if you go back to our era, is a scat back. Your Joe Washingtons, your little Train James type backs, your Stump Mitchell type running backs. That's what everybody is now.
These names
Yeah,
you're
I
throwing
just threw
out,
some
my
names.
God. Man, hey, there might be a generation of folks watching that are like, who? Stump what?
Stump
Man,
who?
you're throwing names.
Did he coach?
Yeah,
Did
you're
he
throwing
coach at HBCU? Which he actually
Look,
did.
you pulled up some names that if you collected baseball cards or football baseball cards, you might know some of those names, but if you didn't collect cards, if you weren't a card collector, some of those names would be like, who did he play with? The St. Louis Cardinals? Yeah, I said that.
Yes,
The St. Louis Cardinals.
Cardinals.
See, that's how I knew.
How about Marcus
Helmets.
Allen? How about Marcus Allen?
How about Marcus
Still
Allen?
too old. Still too old.
No.
Okay.
No kid. No kids. I think kids know who Marcus Allen is. I think. I saw Marcus that summer, matter of fact, at an AAU tournament. And for a brief second, I looked over and said, that's Marcus Allen. Just kind of kept walking, and I realized, man, should I go back and take a picture? And then when I thought about it, too late, he was gone. But anyway, that was just a quick side note.
You don't even realize how many celebrities that I've bumped into at AAU tournaments where they have a son or a daughter playing in an AAU tournament that I've happened to attend. So
right.
And so some of them out there actually coaching.
Proper etiquette, when you run into one of those guys, right? Okay, you run into a Marcus Allen. Do you go back and say, first off, you go back and say, hey, Mr. Allen. Oh, man, hey, I'm a big fan. You start with the, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. I grew up watching you. Or, hey, Mr. Allen. First off, does that sound weird? I mean, here I am.
Are we at an AAU tournament when we're doing this, Brian?
Yes. We're not out in the street. We're not
at an AAU tournament. First of all, proper etiquette. If they are there coaching a team,
no, he
let
wasn't.
them handle their team. Okay, no, I'm just saying. I'm just going down the chain of command. Number 2,
okay,
if they are intensely watching a game, that means they probably have a child or a grandchild, depending on the age of the person that we're talking about.
He wasn't.
In that game. So that is not the time to come up and talk.
No. Right. That's a good point. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah. No. I wouldn't have done that.
Nah.
This was like in the hallway. This was in the hallway, like in between, when everybody's walking around.
If that person is engaged in conversation with another person, then no. If they are just kind of just walking along,
hanging there on the wall,
yeah, just hanging or going. Hey, yeah. Because I'll give you a perfect example, Brian. This happened to me in Atlanta. This may have been 4 or 5 years ago. I will throw out a name for you. You remember Joe Smith?
Basketball player Joe Smith?
Basketball player Joe Smith,
Maryland.
University of Maryland. Number 1 draft pick,
yes.
I believe it was the
yes,
Timberwolves.
Number 1 draft pick went to the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors.
Golden State Warriors. Yeah, it was the Golden State Warriors. Anyway, he had a daughter at that point in time who was playing in 14U basketball event in Atlanta. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, damn, I know this. I know that face from somewhere. Yeah, and for
the 6'10" size didn't give it away.
Well, Brian, you forgot I coach college basketball too.
Oh, okay.
So when I see faces, like that, I'm like, did I coach against him? Because I know I did not coach him. Did I coach against him at a school, or is it just somebody who I bumped into while on the coaching circuit? Obviously never coached against him. And I was like, damn, bro, you look familiar. You look like somebody who I know. I just can't place your face. And he said, then he introduced himself. And that's how it was. Like, I didn't walk up in awe and shock like, oh, Mr. Gatter. I was like, as soon as he said Joe, As soon as he said Joe Smith, I was like, and I dropped his stats. I was like, University of Maryland, #1 draft pick. I can't remember what year you was drafted, but it was somewhere in the 90s. And that broke the ice, and we had about a 3-minute conversation after that.
Right.
That
Good thing you didn't say. Good thing you didn't say team got knocked out of the Sweet 16. You had a good team, but damn, y'all should have made it to the Final Four. Anyway,
but yeah, so
that's how foul I might have been, just off GP. But anyway,
man, you cost me $500, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Man, I had y'all picked to go in my pool. I bet he hears that all the time. He's like, yeah, so did a lot of people that year. That was a good Maryland team. But anyway, yeah. So no, I don't know where was I going before I jumped into
I
that.
have no idea, man.
Sidetrack. I did want to mention. Yeah, the other name from the East-West Shrine Bowl was Mark Evans. Mark Evans, the UAPB offensive lineman. So that's 6 names that we'll be keeping an eye on. We'll see how many other names. I asked you earlier. I said what's the number of drafted HBCU players? I said it at 3.5, shooting for 4, which was the number I believe from last year. You said under. You still hold to that?
Can I wait to the Underworld Olympics before I make that final evaluation? And
Sure,
those who do not know what the Underworld
you are
Olympics.
more than
Those who do not
welcome
know
to
what the
change
Underworld
your
Olympics
bet.
is, that's the combine. That's the combine.
Well, how many are going to the combine though? So I mean, that's another thing you don't know.
That's what I want to see. But right now, if you were to pin me to a wall today, Brian, and ask me, I would go with the under right now. But I reserve to change it. We're not in Vegas, so my bet is not final.
All right, so you're going under. All right, good point. Let's see, Edwin Moore, almost called him Edwin Moses. Edwin Moore had talked about crossing paths with Dion and his sons and Rafael Palmero back in the day on the travel baseball circuit. So that's real interesting. All right, so you said the 28th, so we'll be looking for the HBCU Legacy Bowl there at the end of the month. Let me make mention of news for Daytona, out of Daytona Beach, and it's more on the positive side. I'm not going to get into talking about town hall meetings and all that other stuff. We're going to talk about the positive hire. Bethune-Cookman University has themselves a new ball coach. His name is Raymond Woody. He's a former assistant at FAU and Florida State. Has ties to Willie Taggart, who was also at both of those schools as a head coach at FAU and Florida State. And the one thing working for Raymond Woody is he's a Bethune-Cookman alum. And, Drew, one of the things that I think for Bethune-Cookman in the situation that they are coming out of, and when I say coming out of, I mean the Ed Reed saga, is finding one of their own. One of their own who would want that job. I've heard people make fun and have fun at the hire. But I really think the hire would be celebrated. Let's just say if the Ed Reed situation or even just the hire of Ed Reed had never occurred. There's nothing wrong with being an assistant coach for, he's come through the ranks. He was once a former high school coach that then went the assistant college route, and he put in the time on the circuit to be to have an opportunity to be a head coach, and to have an opportunity to be the head coach at your alma mater. There is probably no greater feeling for an athlete who desires to get into coaching. And so that's what Coach Woody has in front of him. There were student athletes that signed with Bethune-Cookman, despite the fact that, a lot of people were wondering how many people would sign with Bethune-Cookman. I didn't do a total number count, but I'm looking at the Bethune-Cookman website. I'm looking at the names. I mean, there's guys have signed, and I'm sure there's going to be other names that will eventually sign, especially as we talked about Drew. Uh, uh, Actually, Mo brought this up last week. Mo Carter. Once May comes around, once May comes, and you have that next open transfer portal period, that'll be an opportunity for guys to really consider Bethune, and that'll be an opportunity for a lot of guys. So, what's your thoughts on Coach Woody and just the hire by Bethune-Cookman?
I'm glad they got someone. I think it was important for them to get someone who actually understands the culture of Bethune. This hire, given the debacle from the last month, had to be someone from HBCU who understands the culture and understands the challenges. The fact that they were able to land and makes it a little bit easy because let's be real. Them some of the same halls he was walking in, probably the same dorm that he slept in as a freshman is probably still there. Probably some of the same people are still working there in the same positions that was working there when he was a freshman, So that's just being real. I'm gonna hold this question until I get done making these couple of other points. What's interesting though, Brian, is Morehouse still has not named a coach. I still find that interesting that Morehouse has not announced who their coach is going to be upcoming. So, and if, as the SIAC reported, if I missed on that, please someone inform me. But to my knowledge, Morehouse still does not have a head football coach. So, just want to throw that out there. And now, this season right now, Brian, you're going to see a lot of talent wind up at our Division II and NAIA programs because there were a lot of young men who unfortunately were disappointed on Wednesday that they did not sign with the team or get that offer from the team that they thought they were going to get the offer with. Now, all those other places that were showing them love, they got to do this reality check. Which one of these D2s, FCSs, or NAIA schools I want to go to? Because there were a lot of Division I dreams shattered on Wednesday. Just a reality, Brian. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Pay attention to the high schoolers that signed right now. Let's see how many 3-stars get signed by these teams now before this transfer portal period even opens up. Also, keep in mind, a lot of coaches are going to hold a couple of spots for some summer transfer portal students.
Summer transfers,
so,
definitely.
Yeah. So these rosters will not be really taking shape until July and August, Brian. You're going to have some late transfers. You're going to have some late high school signees. Also, preferred walk-ons that are going to be coming in, and they won't know where they're going until this summer. So for those out there, just be patient. Your time will come. Here's the question I want to ask before we head to break, Brian. With the fiasco that occurred around everything Ed Reed, good, bad, and ugly, and this might be something we might need to ask Charles when he gets on here. Do you think that there will be a slowdown or possibly a move away from the celebrity hire by HBCUs now? Or will it just be more vetting and more orientation of that person before we decide we want to bring a non-HBCU celebrity NFL football type coach into our space?
I think coaches or I think administrations will, if they're smart, they will ask more questions about the person. What is your true intent? I mean, I know you have, because these, I mean, again, you're talking about celebrities, guys who have foundations, and they're using I believe
These coaches
they're
have
using.
more. These coaches make more money away from that campus, most of them, because of
Yeah,
their
I'm not
investments and
talking about that.
foundations
I'm
and
not
stuff.
talking about that.
They,
I'm talking about.
well,
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about. Hold on a second. I'm
I'm
talking
hold on
about
my point.
the stuff that they bring with them, which is foundations, contacts, business relationships, other multimedia interests. All those things are going to need to be vetted out and found out. Well, what is your true intent? See, I'm gonna go back again to um, the head coach over at North Carolina A&T, who in his press conference told you he was a man that came out of the NFL and spent 20 years working to be a head coach. That was his desire. It wasn't to do a foundation, to do documentaries, to have all these other things going on. He had one purpose. That was to coach young people in the game that he loved. Period. All the other stuff, if it comes, great. He wanted to spend his time working up the chain to figure out how to become a head coach, which is what you or I would do, when we were in our coaching prime, saying, hey, is this a career path I want to take? Let me figure out how to do it. Let me be here. Let me be there. Let me associate with this person. Let me find out how it works. Right? That's what he did. Now, the next celebrity, I don't know, Marshall Faulk, for example. I'd heard his name rumored before. You know, what's Marshall Faulk's true intent? What's Ray Lewis? What's his true intent? Because Ray Lewis got a lot of things going on in his life. I just saw him in the Pro Bowl thing, right? So I'm just, that's where I'm going with when I say more questions will be asked, more questions will be asked in the future. So no, I don't think it'll slow down the next quote unquote celebrity hire or desire, but they will ask more questions. So now, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna add on that?
Well, I was going to add, Brian, the fact that you do have some of these people come in like a Ed Reed did, like a Coach Sanders, even like a Eddie George and Hugh Jackson. A lot of these people actually are maybe giving up things to come work at the HBCU. They have an opportunity to make more money by not coaching at HBCU. So you're wondering why. Sometimes you may be wondering, like you say, you got to find out their true intent. What is their intent for coming here and coaching? Is it to give back to the game? Is it to give back to a university? Or is it just point blank, you need to build something to make your foundation look better? And this is a stepping stone to help your foundation out. And by helping your foundation out, you can help out our university. And there's nothing wrong with that, Brian. But you got to put all that on the table and make sure you know. If look, if we could get a good 3-year marriage of this, where you improve our university, and then it enables you and your foundation to go and do other things, as long as we agree on it, why not? It can't be any worse. Just something to think about. But whether you agree with me or whether you don't agree with me, Brian, the thing is, you need to make sure you have these conversations even more and more up front before we make the quick celebrity. We got to get this out here before, since somebody has already leaked it. We got to go ahead and make this statement and go ahead and rush this thing through and hurry up and try to get this contract signed, since somebody has already leaked it. I guess it's here, Brian. So let's ask the maestro when he comes in. Let's ask Mr. Edmond and see what he thinks about it. He's listening to us right now.
Are we going to break, or are you want to
Yeah,
just jump right
yeah.
in with Charles? All
Nah,
right, so we
let's go
got
to break.
Charles. Okay, well, okay. You teased it, and then you say go to break. You're killing me, Drew. Let's go to break. Come back on the other side. Charles Edmond, Alcorn State Sports Radio, will join us. We'll ask a host of questions to Charles right after these words.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN SportsWrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
From novice to aficionado, find your...
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D. here. Joining us, our good friend from Alcorn State Sports Radio, the legend, Charles Edmond. Also a co-host on the Carlos Brown Show. You can hear him every Saturday, noon to noon Eastern, 11 Central. Charles, how you doing this evening?
Good evening, gentlemen. It's been a minute since we've had a chance to kick it around.
Yeah, man, it definitely has. It definitely has. Almost like Happy New Year, Happy Black History Month, all of that stuff. You know, we haven't seen you
Happy
this
King
year
Day
on the air with us. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah. All of them that we missed. So, hey, so busy week in HBCU sports, but definitely a busy week for Alcorn State in the middle of basketball season, and then obviously we're a couple of weeks away from softball and baseball starting up at that level. So signing day was this past week. Schedule release comes out. So let's kind of start on the football side of things. I as I'm just kind of browsing recruiting rankings, which are, they are what they are. Take them with a grain of salt. What is Coach McNair, or just what is your evaluation of the recruits that'll be coming into Alcorn State, and what was the transfer portal like for the Braves?
Well, I mean, I think in talking with Coach McNair and just with some of the coaches the other night at our annual football signing party, all the coaches felt very confident about the signees that we had. And it started actually in the early signing period with Tyler Macon, the University of Missouri transfer, kid from East St. Louis, Illinois, my neck of the woods, kid from the Midwest. And so a lot of people are excited about him because he's a true dual threat quarterback. And that's something that we hadn't had in a couple of years. Last year was Aaron Allen. Aaron Allen was more the pocket passer, Louisiana Tech transfer, but Tyler Macon is more of the dual threat. So a lot of people are excited about him and what he can bring to the table. We really got a lot of beef up front on the O-line and D-line. In this signing period in February, we got a lot of skill positions in the early signing period. So I think overall, people around here are pretty satisfied. And look, there's a lot of anxiety out there. I mean, the last 2 years have not been great. And Fred McNair's chomping at the bit. His jaws are tight. I mean, we had 6 straight years of, high-level success, 6 straight division titles when we were in the East, 2 not so good years, the last couple. And now, we got to get back to it because the West is kind of wide open. I mean, Southern's going to have a new quarterback. I don't know who that's going to be. You got Calvez at Grambling, who had an NIL deal. Looks like he's going to be the guy. UAPB with a new coach. You got Body at Texas Southern. Looks like he's going to be kind of the veteran guy there in the conference in terms of quarterback position. So we got to get back with it. We got to get back to work. And I think this signing period, the early signing period plus signing day, is helping us, I believe, get us back to where we need to be.
Interesting. Yeah, being on top for 6 years and then having a couple of not poor seasons, but we call them average seasons from the outside. But I know the standard is high.
They're poor for Alcorn.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The standard was high, and then all of a sudden you have what's average for the rest of us is like, nah, that's unacceptable.
If you valid, you would have loved Alcorn season, but Alcorn did not like Alcorn season.
Exactly.
True that. So you mentioned that recruiting class, and so the quarterback situation. What's that? You mentioned the young man there. So who do you think
Macon
will end up being that Macon? You think that'll be starter going into spring?
It's kind of hard to say right now. We've got 4 quarterbacks in the room right now. I mean, Macon is the guy that everyone is talking about. You got Aaron Allen, who's in Houston recovering from shoulder surgery. He hurt his shoulder against Grambling. He threw a pick 6 there and he landed on his shoulder. And it was a really bad injury, and he hadn't played since that Grambling game. And he's in rehab and recovery. We hope he's going to be ready in the spring. I think Aaron Allen's a great kid. Pocket passer, can push it down the field. And so I think the quarterback competition is going to be a pretty good competition. But I think what the fans want to see is Tyler Macon. I think that's who the fans want to see. But Fred McNair is going to keep it close to the vest. He wants to have an open competition because we lost. We were kind of like the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. How many quarterbacks did the 49ers go through at the end of the day? 5, 4? We went through.
They won that what? Their fifth. They won a 4th string quarterback.
Yeah. They had no quarterbacks by halftime.
No, they won a fifth string quarterback when you consider that
they had
McCaffrey,
no quarterbacks by halftime. 0.
Yeah,
right.
McCaffrey got in there and ran some plays, so they won their 5th string quarterback.
So we were kind of in that situation where Our number 2 guy transferred. And so, we were kind of on our 4th quarterback. So we got to get that room restocked. And of course, if you don't have a serviceable quarterback, you have no chance. We know that in the game of football. So the quarterback room will be stocked. I was told the other day that our quarterback, Tyler Macon, doesn't have the system yet. I was told that the other night. So I'm sure they'll be working on their installs as we get ready for spring practice. So I think it's going to be a very competitive spring. And I think Fred McNair is going to keep this thing open all the way and probably up until 2 weeks before we open up at USM.
Speaking of the schedule, the 2023 schedule is out. The non-conference schedule for Alcorn, traveling to Southern Miss, traveling to Stephen F. Austin, a game that was very winnable at home last year, and then hosting McNeese State, who I believe you guys actually beat them last year. Somebody finally beat McNeese State, so now we gotta have you guys do it again for a second year at home. What excites you about the schedule? Who was the cycle on, cycle off for this year? Anybody that you haven't seen in a while? What excites you about this upcoming schedule?
Well, I think the USM game, number one, because it's an in-state game. We set a record the last time we were there. Roberts Stadium seats about 35,000. We set a record when we were there before. Yeah, it only seats about 35,000. They've expanded it 2 or 3 times. It used to seat in the upper 20s. They put some suites in and some end zone seats. It seats about 35, 36 maybe. So we set a record crowd when we were there before. And I expect that we'll have a big crowd, maybe a record crowd there again because of this renewed offense. Plus, USM is not your same old Southern Miss. They're not a team that went 3-8, 2-9. I mean, they were kind of the downtrodden of the FCS. They went to a bowl game last year. I think beat Tulane, handed them their only loss. So, I mean, this is going to be a highly anticipated game. It's in-state. So, Braves fans will be there showing up and showing out, going to the hub city. And USM fans will be excited about it. Our band will be there. Our AD talked about that, including the band and the contract, which I think is really, really, really important when you're negotiating these games because fans want to see the band. Our band will be there. Sounds of Dynamite will be there. So I expect it to be really, really, really rocking at Roberts Stadium. So that excites me. But, I'm always an FCS or formerly 1AA guy playing Stephen F. Austin there. We're returning a game in Nacogdoches. And then obviously McNeese is coming to us, returning a game to us. So I'm looking forward to those first 3 games. Nothing that blows you away. If we play well, play hard, I think USM, that'll be a tussle. Those 2, McNeese and Stephen F., can be winnable games if we get our quarterback situation rectified, if our defense picks up where it left off against Jackson State, holding them in check. I think those, 2 of those 3 games can be very much up for grabs before we get into conference play.
Can I ask you something on the business side of that, Charles? Mess my mic up there. When we travel to play historically white colleges and universities at their place, we travel. Is there always a concern when you do the home and home that they're not going to reciprocate it with their fans? Because we know our core base is going to be there at whichever home game that we have. But is that a concern that they wind up financially benefiting from these type of games?
Well, the home and home, there's no money exchanging hands there, and I think some people might not.
But you keep your gate, you keep your gate, we keep their gate. Correct. But their gate tends to be bigger because more of us travel to their place versus how many of them travel to our place for one reason or the other.
Yeah, it depends on the matchup and it depends on the game. There's some matchups I would love to see home and home, like Southern and Southeastern. I was on Carlos's show a couple of weeks ago, 2 schools 30 minutes away. You got one school with a 30,000 seat stadium. You got another one with a 7,000 seat stadium in which Southern's fans will pack that place out and make them all the money. And then to your point, when the game returns to Baton Rouge, will the Southeastern fans come to Baton Rouge and help fill up Mumford? Probably not. I'm just going to put my neck out there and say no, probably not. But I think for us, obviously we showed out pretty well over in Lake Charles, and we hope our fans, their fans come to our place. It's a risk reward type of deal. Typically, what you're seeing now, and I didn't realize until recently that this happens, you still have 2-for-1 and 3-for-1 deals out there. If you understand my point, you got 2-for-1, meaning you go to their place twice, they come to you once, and you get a guarantee, and it's not going to be that much, but you get something out of it. But you're going to their place twice, and I didn't realize this until I read it somewhere on social media. There are 3-for-1 deals out there still. I thought that was 30 years ago past, but those deals are still out there. Obviously, It's a bigger guarantee. But you hope in this case that McNeese fans come. Our campus is wonderful. It's spacious. People have a good time, and hopefully the folks in Lake Charles will show up to Jack Spinks Marino Castle Stadium like our fans, showed up down there in Lake Charles.
And that's not a bad ride. That's an easy ride, if I remember, from Lake Charles to where you guys are at. I believe it's like straight down I-20, if I remember that correctly. Don't quote me on that.
It's not a bad ride. Probably about 4 hours or so. You could go several ways. You can go interstate, or you can go the back way, which is a little quicker. It just depends. But nonetheless, I think those are two schools, McNeese, Alcorn, like McNeese Southeastern, 2.5 hours away. I think it's almost, in my opinion, a must that we play those schools because we're close, geographically close. It makes sense. And
the day trips. If you want to make them a day trip.
Yeah, a lot of our fans, I think, came down to Lake Charles the day of because it was an evening game. So it makes sense. I mean, and I hope we see more of that, not only for us, but throughout the league, because there are a lot of, I think, pretty good matchups, involving some of our teams and the others.
Let's do we know what do you estimate, if you had to get or even guesstimate, what that payday might look for playing Southern Miss? Is it in the 300,000 to 400,000 range?
Yeah.
Might be north of 5.
No, I'm gonna say 3 and change. Maybe if it's 4, I'll be doing jumping jacks, but I'm thinking probably in the 3-ish range. Because I mean, and we can agree, disagree, whatever. The fact that the two schools are so close, there's this assumption that you probably shouldn't pay quite as much as if USM went and got North Dakota State, something like that. But I think you get 3. It's a short trip. The band's included in the deal, so you'll come out, on the plus side in terms of, the finances behind that. So it makes sense to me. I think in 27 we're playing Ole Miss. In 2027, that's a few years away, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I know. I think I saw the details on that, but it's more than what USM's paying for sure. But hey, we'll take it, and I think it'll be great for everyone.
I thought 24 was the Ole Miss, but you just said 27. I thought there might have been somebody in 24, but 27, whatever. That's ways away, long ways away. All right, Drew. Anything else regarding football you wanted to talk? I wanted to transition over to basketball with Charles while we.
Yeah, the question that we teased out before the break, we kind of discussed a little bit off camera before we came on. I made a statement that, I asked Bryan the question, Charles, with everything that surrounded Ed Reed, good, bad, and ugly, would we going to continue to see celebrity hires for HBCU football at the level that we're seeing them now? Will they kind of slow down, or will they quickly fade away? Give us your expert opinion on that.
I think it's going to continue, but I do think there's going to be more vetting involved. I think the Ed Reed situation is one in which there's going to be a little more digging into backgrounds and just a little more vetting. I think that's what's going to happen. Do I think it's going to stop? No, it's not, because those guys bring people. They bring potentially corporations. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. According to reports, Ed Reed had millionaires and billionaires lined up to donate to Bethune-Cookman. Shaquille O'Neal's name came up. I read this in a report. I don't know how true it is or not. We hadn't heard from Shaq about it. But I'm just saying that's kind of, I know people don't want to put it out there, but that's kind of the reason why you bring a Deion Sanders or an Ed Reed, because they know people. And we know in life and business about relationships. If you know Warren Buffett and he can donate $500 million to you, to the cause, even though he's worth $500 billion, why not? I mean, so I get it, but I think this is a situation where it's a little bit too quick. And I think Ed Reed just jumped the gun a little bit. I mean, on social media, and I agreed, everyone was saying if Ed Reed could just chill out a little bit, just get in there and see what was going on. But he didn't do that. At least initially he did, and then he released a video of the fields and all that, and then it just blew up. And then that last meeting he had with the players and parents with Coach Sanders on the split screen, that was just the final nail in the coffin. For me personally, I hate that for Bethune-Cookman as a product of an HBCU myself. I just hate that for the players, for the coaches, for Reggie Theus, the AD, the administration, because it just makes us all look bad when a situation like that happens. I know we can isolate it and say it's Bethune-Cookman, but unfortunately it's not. We all kind of get thrown into the bag together. And so I hope, they got a new coach. Hope he settles in. He's got a lot of work to do. He's behind. And hopefully, we can transition into, hopefully they can get a good product on the field. It's going to be tough because he's behind the 8 ball. But I don't think it's going to stop. I think there's going to be more vetting, though. I think it's going to be a little more caution. And until the contract is signed, I think that's the other lesson learned. The contract wasn't signed. It was out there. I'm sure there were terms and language still need to be worked out. I get that. And maybe I'm just, reaching for straws here, but maybe there was this verbal understanding. Look, my board's going to approve you. Just come in, roll up your sleeves a little bit, and let's see what happens, as far as getting to work. Because he was behind when he was hired, if you look at the calendar. But, if he just didn't release the videos and go way out in left field, I think he would have been hired, but it didn't. And he went off on the rails, and here we are. And I just hope, again, for the players, the administration, for the university, I just hope that they can, turn it around and settle it down. And I really feel for Reggie Theus, too, because, they played us in Jackson during that weekend when all that just completely fell apart. And you could just tell Reggie Theus, it was on his mind a little bit. It had to be. He's trying to coach a basketball game, and he's got to deal with this. I mean, the football stuff was more of a story than Bethune-Cookman almost beating Jackson State and giving us heck. So, that's a whole nother story about whether or not Reggie Theus can do both duties. That's a whole nother conversation. But, I just hope Bethune-Cookman turns it around, gets it together. They got a coach in there now. Now let's see if we can settle down and we can all get to work on that.
Last comment before we transfer to basketball, Brian. There's someone in Daytona on the campus of Bethune-Cookman who was saying, thank God we didn't sign that freaking contract when we wanted to. That's all I'm going to say on that.
That's gold. That's gold. I was simply gonna say let the lesson be, stay off social media until you sign the contract, or at least till
somebody was like, there's somebody who's like, I am so glad that you was out of town and were not available to approve this contract. There's that person who everybody is happy that they were that voice in the room that said, hold up, let's slow down on this Ed Reed.
Well, I mean, anyway. we don't know if it was just some more fine tuning in the contract. I mean, the contract obviously wasn't signed. I don't know if there's some things that weren't there in the contract. He wasn't going to sign it as is. I don't know. I mean, because negotiations happen. Language has to be put in place, and so we don't know.
There are people who are happy that it broke down. That they had.
Yeah, there are.
Because if that would have happened after the contract was signed, now you've got a whole other set of problems that you would have had to deal with if you are Bethune-Cookman. But because the contract was not signed, everybody could walk away from it.
I don't think it would have mattered. Even if he signed the contract and all that happened, there would have been a way to get out of it. There would have been something.
It would have just been a little bit tougher, though. It would have been.
It would have been tougher, but
it would have been tougher.
but the image, the court of public opinion would have outweighed the contract and the money, because the damage would have been so, I mean, it still is pretty deep. And I think the contract, I think attorneys would have got involved, and there would have been a way to get out of that even after he signed the contract. I mean, these things do happen even after you're on board. You know, you just kind of walk away and say, hey, we'll pay you out. We may spread it out over a little bit of time, but there's nothing bigger than the university. No one person, you know, the court of public opinion, all that. So even if he signed it and all this happened, trust me, there's a board, there's the governor of Florida, all that. I mean, it wouldn't have happened. They would have gotten from up under that contract even after he signed it.
We don't talk about the governor of Florida on this. We don't talk about the governor of Florida on this show. Just for future reference. Go ahead, Brian.
And going forward, Drew, I'm going to institute a $1 fine next time you or I mention Ed Reed. After that comment right there, after that name right there, so it's $1 fine for anybody, you or I, if we mention it.
Wait, Brian. And if anybody puts it in the chat, if they put it in the chat, they better hit the super tipper before they say the words Ed Reed in our chat anymore. Yeah, it's almost like a cuss jar. We made our own version of a cussing jar.
There you go. Hey, okay, Alcorn State. I'm not gonna talk too much about the women. Although what I do find about the women, what is interesting about the women, Charles, they are obviously right now. I think they're sitting kind of about 4-6. But just in general, what I find interesting about the women, Jackson State is starting to separate a little bit. There are, you know, in the latest standings that I was just looking at, they're still sitting at 9-1, and then there's a host of teams that are sitting, you know, within 3 games of them. But there's at least about 7 or 8 teams. Unfortunately, Alcorn State's down at the bottom of those 7 8 teams, with FAMU right on their rear, Charles, which would be like the story of the year somehow if we make it into the 8. What's your take on Alcorn and just what you're seeing from the other teams? Because I feel like the other teams have risen and are raising their play this year, or maybe Jackson State isn't as dominant, which is hard to say given that they're 9-1. What's your thoughts on women in the SWAC basketball?
Well, as far as Jackson State, they're not dominant. They're just good. I mean, I think with Amisha Williams-Holiday in years past, they were dominant. But I think now they're just good. And they're tougher to defend because now you have more weapons at your disposal. You got 2 or 3 in the post. You have a deeper team in totality than you probably had when you could just dump it inside. So that's what makes Jackson State, you know, where they are. But other teams are getting better. Alabama A&M's getting better. So throughout the course of the league, I just think teams are rising their game. And I think Jackson State just not the dominant team. So which is a good thing. Because it makes conversations like this even more exciting. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this goes down the stretch. As far as the Lady Braves are concerned, we've just let games just slip through our fingers. I mean, we look so good at times, and then other times we just can't throw it in the ocean. And other times we turn it over. Other times we just look like a totally different team. Other times we can't hit free throws. So, I mean, right now we're in 9th place. You know, we were in 8th. We were playing for 7th place last night. Now we dropped the 9th. And we have the tiebreaker on Grambling because we beat them. We only play them once. So there's still a lot left to be desired there. I think we can still get into the top 5 or 6, but we got to start winning some games, and we can't let any more slip through our fingers. Tomorrow night against Valley, a must-win game, and then we'll be in your state, Brian. We'll be in Daytona on Saturday and Tallahassee next Monday. Didn't get a chance to go to Florida last year. Caught COVID the day before I flew out. I caught COVID. I had to cancel everything. I'm looking forward to coming to the Sunshine State. I was
somebody had to do those games for you, Charles. I don't remember who.
And I appreciate you guys
on the radio broadcast.
Yes, sir. Bryan Fulford and A.D. Drew filled in for me and did a wonderful job down there in Tallahassee and Daytona. I missed it. I missed it. But knock on wood, I can make the trip. I'll be leaving Thursday down there. But you know, Florida A&M, I have to say, you know, they're waking up.
Watch out.
Um,
Watch out. They done woke up. The Rattlers done woke
yeah,
up. Coach,
yeah,
we coach has found a little rotation, found a little core group. We stopped
yeah,
turning the ball over to the other team, and all of a sudden we start scoring points. What do you know? You don't
yeah.
turn it over, don't get a ball to the other team, and you can score points and win ball games. So watch out. Watch out. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say. Watch out.
I have to say our women's coach Nate Kilbert nailed it after we played FAMU and Bethune at home. He said it. Those teams play a lot better at home, and that next homestand was Alabama State and A&M, and you saw what they did. So we better buckle up when we go down there because we got to at least get a split. We got to win these games at home. I have a hard time believing we're one of the three worst teams in the conference. But you know, as they say, your record is who you say you are, and so I'm hoping they can prove me wrong and we can get in the top 8 because I do think with the kind of team that we have, the kind of matchups we have, we can do some damage once we get there. But we got to get there, and right now we're not.
Yeah. So every week in the SWAC, every game is pretty interesting in the SWAC for women's especially on the women's side because of what it looks like from 2 to 9, and really I'm gonna say 2 to 10. Really is that challenging because I mean in one weekend you can go up a couple of spots or down a couple of spots in a matter of 2 games in 3 days. Let's jump over to the men because the men still rolling, thanks in part to a win over UAPB 70-67, combined with Southern getting where's the number taken to the woodshed by Alabama A&M. I mean I missed that. Did Coach Pettaway call that? What was that analysis on Saturday?
He did.
Did he call that?
He
Drew,
did.
I missed on the handicap, Drew. I'm mad that I missed the show. I'm so mad. But yeah, they put Southern into the grinder, 20 points, and so now Alcorn is tied in first place with Southern at 8-2. What's your thoughts on what the second half run is going to be like for the Braves?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I'm gonna have to probably go to the hospital because it's happening again, in which we have all these close games and games that I'm thinking that we're gonna fall short. We wind up pulling out of the ashes. I mean, you look at what we've done at home. We had a 20-point lead against UAPB last night. They cut it to 3 with under a minute left. Against Alabama A&M, we led by 29, and they cut it to 9. Then we beat Texas Southern in Prairie View. We were down 5 with 40 seconds left in Prairie View. Down twice against Texas Southern. Down 17 against Southern. Cut it to 3. I mean, if this is the way it's going to be, I might be calling you guys again. I might not make it. I might not make it to the finish line because these games are too close. They're exciting. I mean, they raise your blood pressure up. I mean, but look, Southern stunk last night. There's no question about it. They never were in it. But if you look at Southern, they were on the edge of the cliff for the last couple of weeks. They led us by 17 and we cut it to 3. They led Grambling by 25 and Grambling made a run. And I think it just caught up with them. Southern's very athletic. They got great shooters. They kind of reminded me of the old Jaguars, the Ben Jobe days, running and gunning, the way they play. When they get out like that, they're pretty good. They knock down shots.
Fun teams.
Yeah, it's a fun and look, they were a fun team against us for the most part, but then we made a run at it. And last night it was no fun. They never got off the bus in Huntsville. So this is kind of a must win for them in Montgomery on Monday night because if the Braves grab that thing, because right now Southern has a tiebreaker. We only play them once. So even if there's a tie for first, Southern would get the 1 seed because they beat us. So we got to finish ahead to get that 1 seed. But Southern's got a tough road to hoe. And for us, we got to go to Valley, got to go to Pine Bluff, got to go to Florida. We got Texas Southern in Prairie View. And you talk about a shock on the men's side. We kind of knew Alcorn would be there. We kind of knew Southern would be there. But to me, Texas Southern, man, have they fallen.
The other direction.
And I really
shock
believe,
the other way.
Yeah, shock the other way. And I really believe, 2 of the big transfers that no one really talked about in the offseason, Travis Etienne, who transferred from Texas Southern to Southern, and then Rosas, a big kid that transferred from Texas Southern to Prairie View. They miss those 2 guys. The toughness that they bring on the perimeter and the post. That you just look at the close losses Texas Southern has had. I think it's because mainly those two guys brought the toughness, brought the grit that they need to get over the hump. Texas Southern has lost 4 games at home. I said it.
Yeah.
I said it after we beat them. I don't know if TSU's gonna make the tournament. And they
Let's take
won
that
in
one step
Alabama.
further, Sean.
Huh?
I was gonna say, let's take that one step further. Were it not for Prairie View women, the whole state of Texas might get shut out of the tournament because both Prairie View and Texas Southern men are in jeopardy, and Texas Southern doesn't look like they may get either one of their teams to Birmingham.
Yeah, I mean, on the women's side, Burnett Skeeter, first year, she used to play she used to play college basketball at Alcorn, so I know her well. She's got a little work to do there. But, Texas Southern's men, I mean, this is unusual even for TSU supporters. You start 0-5, first time in 60 years. I mean, no one is used to this. Johnny Jones isn't used to it. The Texas Southern fans aren't used to it. So this is an uncomfortable situation. And it's not going to get any better. They still got to come to Alcorn. They got to go to Jackson. I don't know if they're going to make it. You come off the Bama swing, you lose to Prairie View in overtime, and then you turn around and lose last night at home. You've lost 4 home games. Don't know. I mean, they're going to have to get hot. If they don't, they'll be shut out of the top 8, and that'll kind of be a shame considering that they won the tournament last year.
Well, I'll tell you this. As I was listening and watching the game on Saturday, of course, I think with FAMU traveling there, it was interesting to note that even the play-by-play commentators, they aren't used to being in this situation because there was a point in that game where FAMU was controlling that game, and then we sort of fell into, those of us who've been paying attention, we fell into this hole that we seem to fall into lately. And they went on about a 16-0 run on us in the second half. It went from down almost 8 to up 5 or 6. And as I hate to admit this, as it's on and I'm driving, don't drive and watch YouTube at the same time, people. But as it's on, I'm listening. I'm more so listening. Let me clarify. I'm listening to the broadcast of the game on YouTube. I'm listening to the broadcast, so safe driving here. We go on they go on a 16-0 run, and then all of a sudden, it was like the hole closed up on Texas Southern. All of a sudden, FAM creeps rolling. The crowd gets into it. That's another thing you got to factor in. We got a large contingent of Rattlers in Texas, and we showed up. Now, Monday, I can't speak for Bethune-Cookman, folks. So it may be heavy Texas Southern crowd. I don't think Bethune will travel, or I don't think the Bethune alums in Houston are as heavy as the FAMU alumni. But I'm telling you now, Houston. So I'm telling you now, Prairie View. Watch out.
FAMU will be over at Prairie View on Monday.
Look, we're gonna take over Prairie View on Monday night. We just gonna roll right down the street. So I'm predicting that FAMU is gonna come out of Texas with another win, which means we move up from 3-7 to 4-7. Move over Texas Southern. Move over. And look, we right in the 8. I don't know how, but somehow we come back when we play y'all next weekend, Charles. We could be in the 8, which would be like unreal. The fact that the lowest scoring team in the country could be in the 8. I'm just gonna say that and keep moving. But
one of the top defensive teams in the country too, though.
You're one of the top defensive teams in the country. We can't put it in the ocean, but I mean we can play defense though, and so that's the one good thing for FAMU. And so watch out, Prairie View Panthers, Rattler Nation's coming. We getting used to, because we got y'all coming to homecoming, so we just gonna come take over. What do they call that stadium in Prairie View, Charles? What do they call that stadium over there?
Blackshear Field, Panther Stadium.
Blackshear Field. Yeah, we're gonna paint that orange and green. It looks beautiful. We're gonna put a little orange and green. Look, Dr. Cavill says not gonna happen. Okay.
Not gonna happen.
hey, Doc, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna put if it doesn't happen, I'll put on some purple on the orange and green show. I'll put on some purple and gold if it doesn't happen, Doc. But I'm calling a victory. And I better see some orange on you on Thursday, or no, Tuesday, Dr. Cavill. I want to see you in some orange and green on Tuesday after FAMU takes out Prairie View A&M. I'm calling it.
Well, I tell you what. I tell you what, we go to Tallahassee next Monday, and hey, if FAMU had, I mean, they've already had a success on this road. If you split on the road, you've done your job. So now
Yes. Yeah.
you got Jackson coming to Tallahassee, and the next Monday night in 8 days, we're going to be there, and I think it's going to be a crazy crowd. And as you mentioned, FAMU trying to get in the top 8, and that could be a game to set them off too. I mean, what you're seeing is that key wins are setting teams off either one direction or the other. Jackson beats us, and then they lose 3 or 4 in a row. We lose one, and then we get back on track. So we thought Texas Southern was dead in the water. They go to Alabama and win 2, and then they drop a couple at home. So all it takes is one, a little spark either way. And so if FAMU wins tomorrow, then they got Jackson, who's struggling right now. I think one of their top players is out. Then Alcorn comes in there. Look out. It could be a wild scene in Tallahassee.
Coming for y'all, boy. I wish I could get it. I'm going to get on a plane and go to Dallas. Let me call up the private plane and get to Dallas ASAP. Now, I know anybody out there, you know somebody with a private plane leaving Florida to go to Dallas, hit me up. Hit me up at DRB365. Hit me up so I can get there. Stephen Gaither said it's FAMU shot. We show when we're winning. Stephen, when we are winning, we show up. So if we're on we're currently 2 game. If we have a 3-game win streak going into Jackson State on Friday, woo, watch out. I'm telling you now, watch out. That's all I'm going to say. Charles, any final thoughts? Anything you want to share? Anything coming up that you want to mention or plug? Yeah.
How the spring sports looking?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of that, baseball and softball are coming up. You talked about it at the top. You know, we've got a new softball coach, formerly of Florida A&M, if I'm not mistaken. She used to be an assistant there. So looking forward to doing softball. And our baseball team, man, they're poking their chest out. They said they're gonna make the tournament. So I'm looking forward to our baseball team and head coach Reggie Williams, who's a great guy, by the way. He's got the team that can do it a lot deeper. We only have 15 players on the roster last year, a lot deeper this year. This team, they're telling me, book your ticket to Atlanta. The baseball tournament is now in Atlanta. Book your ticket to Atlanta. We're going to be there. So I'm looking forward to these spring sports and just looking forward to down the stretch in SWAC basketball, because in the men's side, you just don't know what's going to happen. You know, I thought UAPB is a team that's going to be dealt with, I think. You know, they're new to this winning because no one expected them to be there. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how this basketball is going to be down the stretch, and looking forward to softball and baseball and spring football. A lot to talk about in the SWAC.
All right. Make sure to check out, again, Charles Edmond. You got any basketball shows with Coach Bussey, Coach Kilbert coming up tomorrow or Tuesday?
It'll be Tuesday. Tuesday at 5:30 Central Time. Kilbert show 5:30 to 6:30, and Bussey 6:30 to 7:30. So it'll be a lot to talk about. Hopefully, you know, on the heels of 2 wins, and then we head down to Florida. Looking forward to seeing you. Hopefully, I can see you, Brian, when we head down to Florida.
Yeah. I'll have to make.
I'm right up the road from Tallahassee, so I'm definitely gonna try. Y'all play FAM on Monday night, correct?
Monday night.
Yeah, I might even come over there and do a little color for you on the broadcast. No charge, man.
All right, come on. I need all the help I can get, because I think it's gonna be tough to get out of there.
Yeah, I think my schedule is free Monday night. I'm gonna check my schedule, but I may ride on down to Tallahassee Monday night, y'all, because I'm right up the road from
Yeah. I get, you know, I've never been to Tallahassee. You know, of all the schools, HBCUs, I mean, there's a lot of them I haven't been to, but FAMU is one I've always wanted to get to. I didn't do it last year, but I'm looking forward to seeing Bethune and, you know, Florida A&M, just 2 great universities. I'm looking forward to stepping on those campuses just to see what it's all about. Despite all that other stuff, I want to see for myself what's going on. And the new AD there at FAMU, I met her. She was at Grambling for a short period of time. Looking forward to meeting her, and Reggie Theus, you know, seeing him. So I'm just looking forward to seeing those great universities down there in Florida.
All right. So those shows you can also catch part of the BCSN Pod Zone. Those will usually be on the Pod Zone, BCSN Pod Zone. We'll usually have those up by either Wednesday or Thursday. So live on Facebook Tuesday night. And then a day or so later, they'll be on the BCSN Pod Zone. And then, of course, Charles and the Alcorn State men and women will be flying out to Daytona Beach to play BCU on Saturday and then FAMU on Monday. So have a good week, Charles. Stay safe. Stay, mask up. Whatever you got to do, man, you got to make it into Florida when you get your feet in the sand this upcoming weekend. All right? So you guys be safe on your travels. Thank you for coming on tonight, and we'll be in touch. All right?
Anytime, guys. You all be safe.
All right, let's take a break. Coming back, we're going to talk with Daryl Wade about the Astros, the Houston Astros Foundation Cactus Jack HBCU Classic coming up here in a couple of weeks. You're watching a BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. Because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
This is the BCSN Pod Zone, your place for the news, views, and conversations about all things related to HBCU athletics. Here are the BCSN Sports Wrap, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Knights of the Round Table, the pregame show, the Carlos Brown Show, the ONG, Strike Zone, and more in one place. We are changing the way you consume HBCU sports, one broadcast at a time.
It's never too early to plant the seed.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D here, and it's a pleasure to be joined by Mr. Daryl Wade. He is the Houston Astros Youth Academy Director, also helping to, also one of the organizers of the 2023 Astros Foundation Cactus Jack HBCU Classic, featuring several of our HBCUs, including Prairie View, Grambling, Texas Southern, Mississippi Valley State, Southern, and Jackson State, all playing in 3 games at the beautiful Minute Maid Park in Houston. I say beautiful because it's always beautiful to look at on TV. Unfortunately, I have not had the pleasure to be there. So we welcome on Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, how you doing this evening? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing great, and I appreciate having the opportunity to be on with you.
Yes, sir. So as you can see, Drew has put up that schedule there of the games. Actually, it's 3 games being played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with a Astros Youth Academy College Fair taking place on Saturday and a gospel breakfast on Sunday. So not only do you get a chance to go to a beautiful ballpark, you get a chance to watch some good baseball, and for those, I think it's a great bookend event for those of us who will be in Atlanta for the end of the season for the SWAC baseball tournament, because it'll be interesting to see how many of these 6 teams will be participating in the tournament. So you get a firsthand look at these teams as they match up against each other in non-conference games. These games don't count towards the schedule, but it's a good, almost early season opener. So, Mr. Wade, tell us a little bit of your background and how you came to work as the Youth Academy Director with the Astros, and then how this event came about.
Well, real quick on my career, I guess I was a coach, a principal, and I became the athletic director in a school district here in Houston, Aldine School District. Worked there for many years, and went over to Houston ISD to be the athletic director. This academy began, the building of it, and I made a phone call just asking, how were they going to run it. I knew I was getting to the time where I could possibly retire from education, and they told me how, and I threw my name in the hat and was fortunate enough to get it. I had that bucket list of wanting to work in professional baseball or professional sports in general, and this came about, and I was very excited to have this opportunity. I've been there. This will be my 14th season with the Astros, and I came in when we were losing 100 games a year. Now we're winning 100 games a year, so it's really exciting to get my second World Series ring in a few months, and so it's a good time to be with Astro, that's for sure.
Hey,
this tournament came about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, we, my staff and I, we go to spring training every year. And last year, at spring training, we were sitting around just kind of talking with Dusty and mentioned the possibility of having a HBCU type tournament. And he, kind of encouraged us to go back when we got to Houston to try to do it. We just gotten a new boss in the foundation department where we work, Paula Harris, and we started the conversation with her before we could even really get down to what we wanted to do. She said, let's do it. And it's been great. We have a champion for this event. We also host 2 other events. We have a small college tournament, which just finished this weekend. And then we'll have the Shriners tournament a few weeks after us, which has some of the bigger D1 schools in it. But we're excited to have this opportunity to do it in Minute Maid, and our whole entire organization, the Astros, from our owner on down, is supporting this. And it's a great opportunity for these kids to get an opportunity to play in a major league ballpark. You know, we would love for all of them to get to play pro ball one day, but we know that's not realistic. But they'll get a chance to play in Minute Maid.
Yeah, we've seen and had an opportunity. Drew and I have had a chance to call some games in these ballparks, and it is to every coach and young player or college player that we've talked to. I mean, it's been a memorable experience for them. You know,
Same thing for the
and it just.
broadcasters.
Oh yeah, same thing for the broadcasters. I mean, for us, I mean, to be able to call these games that we've done.
Call
So,
play-by-play in color for in these games and these professional press boxes and everything. Yes.
yeah. So I mean, this is a great opportunity for these fan bases, and what I think is big. I think that Houston market. I mean, that's a great HBCU base. But not only in that Houston market, but I'm up the road there in Texas and heading east towards Louisiana. But I mean, so you've got Grambling, J-State, Valley, Prairie View, Southern, Texas Southern. I mean, you know, the national alumni chapters. You guys need to get in and support. Be there that weekend. This is a great opportunity to get behind your baseball programs. The Greek program, the Greek organizations need to get out. I mean, this is a great opportunity and an event. You mentioned this is also now when you say a tournament, what is the format? How, because it looks like everybody plays everybody individually. How
It's basically a round robin type event. You know, I guess that's kind of just a term that's kind of loosely used when you call it a tournament, but everyone will get
more of
to
a showcase.
play each other once. Yes, more of a showcase. Just to get to, you know, we had to find the right date to get them here, so we knew we had to do it early in the year. So it's really not a tournament, but we are, you know, just kind of the term that's loosely used. But one of the things that we really want to do is make this a HBCU type homecoming event. You know, we're trying to make this where it's something for everyone, sororities, fraternities, and of course, even if you're not a alumni of one of these 6 schools, we think we can make it a fun weekend for everyone. So we're excited about that. We are working with the Houston area HBCU chapter here, and even the Panhellenic Council here in Houston. So we want everybody to come out and just have a good weekend of baseball. I realize baseball is not everybody's sport, but you know, I remember years ago I was a little boy when Texas Southern would play Grambling in the Astrodome football. Nobody went to the football game. They went for a fashion show and to watch the band. So we're trying to make it some of that available for everybody.
All right.
Oh yeah. That's how it'll be sometimes. Drew, you got any? I know you you had already maybe had talked to Mr. Wade previously because I know
I was just a producer on that show. I didn't actually get a chance to talk to Mr. Wade.
Okay.
So I
Go ahead.
do have a
What
couple of questions that I want to get in for him. Mr. Wade, you know, so many times we see ideas like this. It's hard to go from idea to execution. You know, so kind of once again, if you could kind of walk us through that path from idea to implementation. We'll see execution in just over 10 days. 11 days from now, we'll see execution. And as you break that down for us, kind of tell us some of the things that were tougher than you expected in pulling this off, and then flip that around and tell us something that you thought was going to be tough and going to be a challenge that actually wound up being a little bit easier than you thought it was going to be in order to execute this idea.
Yeah, we actually have been talking for this more than just before we talked to Dusty, but it was just casual conversations, myself and my assistant, Dwayne Stelly, who played on Oklahoma's national championship team, African-American young man on that team. We're really proud of him. But we were just having a conversation. We started off thinking about having a small HBCU type tournament. And then we realized, you know, Texas Southern is about 5 minutes from our stadium. So how could we leave them out? And then Prairie View is 30 minutes down the street from Houston. How could you leave them out? So we really started thinking big. You know, let's try it. Let's see. And we started making the phone calls to these coaches, and they immediately said, yes, we'd like to be a part of it. We reached out to their presidents. They supported. Reached out to the SWAC commissioner, Charles McClellan, who I've known here from when he was at Prairie View, when he was in the Houston area, and he supported it. So it started, hey, we got it. Let's go this way. A lot of things that, we were going to have a baseball weekend. We were not looking for any of this stuff that's really going to happen. We just wanted to get the guys in here to play baseball, and it grew and grew and grew. Like I said, our ownership, Mr. Crane on down. Our games on Saturday going to now be televised on MLB Network and on A&T Sports here in the Houston and local area. All those schools are in our network for AT&T Sports, so those games will go back to their campuses, their cities. So it really grew. We never, you asked what were the challenges. Man, I can't. The challenges for us was, we were getting too much help at one point there. So, but it's a good thing. So we have not had, just normal planning an event and, ups and downs. But we looked up and we're ready. It's, like you said, we're 10, 11 days out and we're ready to go. I think just a few loose ends. And actually, before I got on the air, I was trying to book some more hotels in the downtown area, and none of them available. So we're excited that this is going to be a good event for us. And like I said, we need the community to come out. We have a contract for 3 years with our sponsor, but we know that first year is going to make the second and third year. So we really need to get out and have our folks out there in the stands. And we don't want to be on TV with nobody in the stands either. So we're excited about the opportunity, and hopefully it's going to be a great, great weekend.
And correct me if I'm wrong, for those who are not familiar with Minute Maid Park, that is a retractable roof dome, and probably during this time of the year, that roof is probably going to be closed, I would assume. Am I correct on that, Mr. Wade?
I think it just kind of depends on the weather. This weekend, we started off, this past week we were in the 40s, and we got to, I guess, Saturday we were in the 60s yesterday. The roof was open for that small college tournament. I'm open. We can get some 70-degree weather. Let it stay open. If it's 71, close the roof. I don't care. It's just let's play these ball games and have a good weekend. Yeah, it is definitely retractable. Hopefully, we got some good weather though.
Yeah. In other words, for those who are going for the fashion show, you don't have to worry about getting wet or your hair not coming back the same way it is, because it's a controlled climate. So just want to throw those out there for those who are not familiar with the Minute Maid Park. You know how
it's not totally controlled. The climate is not totally controlled, so we need some warm weather. We have air conditioning.
Okay.
We can't warm it up.
No heat. All right. So you got to bring a hoodie just in case, y'all. Bring a hoodie.
Wear your furs, man. Come out with your furs. Show them off.
Well, he's talking about the homecoming fashion show.
That would be a great visual. That would be a great visual for a baseball game. Seeing folks in the stands in the furs. Oh man.
Mr. Wade, hold up, Ryan. You mentioned that it was going to be on MLB Network on Saturday. Is there any other coverage of it, either on traditional linear TV or on streaming platforms?
It will definitely be streamed on Astros.com and, like I said, on AT&T Sports Network, which is in our area down here. We have, I think, 5-state area.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, that Saturday features our state versus state, each other. They'll play each other. So we'll start off with, I can't even think now. They'll start off with Mississippi Valley and Jackson, and then Southern and Grambling and Texas Southern and Prairie View, which, being local, it's, that 7 o'clock game, we feel like that's going to be our best attended game. We're excited about that and having them here. One of the things, we saw a few weeks ago on the Black 9 poll, we had 5 of the top 10 teams playing in our tournament. So we're excited about that, to see that opportunity, some good baseball. And one of the reasons why we were talking, Dustin made mention during the World Series, for the first time in many years, there was not going to be a Black American taking the ball field for the World Series game this year. Now, this event won't change that, but it will help our kids be seen. So hopefully, in a few years, we'll start seeing that, more prevalent than it is now, to have some African Americans on the ball field in Major League Baseball.
Well, we didn't have an African American player, but we sure got that African American manager, so that kind of made up for it in my heart. Go ahead, Brian.
Dusty has never missed spring training. He told us about a week ago. But my understanding, they're going to fly him in that Thursday. We're having a players' reception at the stadium, and they're going to fly him in to greet the players. You know, Reggie Jackson is on our staff now with the Astros, and he's having a reception where he'll speak to the players that Thursday night. So we're excited about a great weekend of baseball. We've heard another Hall of Famer might be coming in. I won't call his name yet because it's not official. But so we got some people here that are interested in seeing our kids play and supporting our program. Major League Baseball will be coming in, some of their folks. So we're excited about this. It's going to be good for us.
Any HBCU alum coming in that we may know of? You don't have to call any names, but you can kind of like let us know if there might be some HBCU baseball players or other sports coming in.
Well, I do know that we heard some of the football players coming in. Like I said, I don't have that official, but we do feel like we have the only living Hall of Famer, Major League Hall of Famer from the SWAC that's possibly coming in. So we're excited about that. Y'all can start guessing around.
Yeah,
y'all on the East Coast, y'all know what I'm talking about.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I know who you're talking about. I won't spoil it. But there's good. You answered one of the questions I was going to ask you about Dusty, whether he was going to make it, because I'm thinking at the time, and I'm like, man, that's right on the edge of when everybody reports
report. Yeah, everyone reports for the Astros on Valentine's Day, so he's going to probably come in that next day, and hopefully he'll get here. And then, my staff, we leave, I think, on the 21st, going to spring training. So maybe we can get a little break. This has not been, we talked about how easy it was, but it's still been a grind. It's not, when you put on an event like this, it's not, it was no stone was unturned. We're trying to make sure everything is perfect for this event, just like we would for a Major League Baseball event.
What kind of economic impact are you expecting with this event?
I don't want to say this and sound. We're not out there trying to make a lot of money. We're trying to have an event, and that's one thing that made me feel good about it. Is we're not. It's not going to be ran by how much money we can make, but it's making sure we have a good opportunity for these kids to play. So that's a good feeling. Of course, we are trying to sell tickets, because all that money will go back to the foundation, Astros Foundation, where we do a lot in the Houston area and pretty much all over the state. One of the things we've done a lot in the town of Uvalde, Texas, where it had the tragedy this past May. We've done a lot for them down there. We've revised all their baseball, the Little League baseball complex, new concession stands, so new scoreboards. We're actually going to take some of our academy kids down there, which is about a 4-hour drive, charter bus to Uvalde on their opening day, and have our kids play against them. We really that city as an Astros town owner. We brought 12 buses to Houston this summer for those families to come in and enjoy a baseball game there. So we've tried to do a lot to try to help, that community. We had tornadoes right here in Houston last week, I guess. We're in the process of doing a lot of things. We had youth sports and youth baseball is one of our priorities in our foundation department.
One of the I was looking at the schedule of events on Saturday morning is the high school student college fair. Now, is this one of those opportunities for primarily those 6 institutions, or will other institutions have an opportunity? Kind of give us a background, and obviously there's a ton of high schools in the Houston metro area, so I know this is something that's going out to all of those schools and those students. But what type of involvement from other schools are you looking for? Or will it be the primary 6 that are participating?
We right now have, I think, around 86 colleges and universities registered to be there. We have the big schools, the Texas and the LSUs and folks like that. And we have all of these HBCUs and a couple of other small HBCUs signed up to be there. we have, I think when I left Friday, we had around 480 plus kids signed up. So I would think by the time we get to that day, we could have up to 600 kids because, like I said, our goal is to get kids in school and again to make this an event where everyone want to come to. So we felt like we've had a college fair for the last several years in Houston at Minute Maid, but we felt like to put it, and it's not been the same weekend. So we felt like putting it with this event is going to get the high school kids coming out. We know that Cactus Jack is a big fan favorite for high school teenage kids. So we're looking for everything we could to get these kids out. So we're excited about that. It's free. And we're doing one other thing that's kind of been not publicized, but I, as a former guy that wanted to, of course, be in professional baseball growing up or playing, I thought the only way I could do it by playing the sport. But there are so many jobs in baseball that people don't realize. Even when I came to the team, I didn't realize all the different things. But we're having a virtual career fair for all these HBCU athletes. All they have to do is send in their resume, and we're putting it in a virtual book that we're going to pass all of our corporate sponsors with the Astros and Major League Baseball is also going to have their resumes in hand. And again, it's lots of opportunities to get these kids into a high-paying job right out of college, especially our athletes, because all of them only step on that field next week want to play pro ball. But the realistic part, that's not going to happen. It didn't happen for me, but now look at me. I'm in Major League Baseball.
And you got 2 championship rings. You got one of them with you? You got one of them on? I know you got one of them on there.
No, I don't. They actually say the deposit box, but I only have one so far. I'll get the other
haven't got
one
the second ring
first.
yet, Brian.
Not yet.
Well,
but I
know.
I have 2 American League championship rings, so I have 3 right now. I'll have 4 in a few weeks.
All right, and those only come out. Is it true they only come out on special occasions, right? They only come out like the dinner ceremonies and stuff like that. You don't wear them anywhere else, like around the house or anything.
Oh no, they're safety deposit box.
I love that. I
wish I would have did that with my conference championship ring.
Man. Also, one of the other appealing things that I noticed about this event that you'll be giving away bobbleheads each night. Who will these bobbleheads feature?
It's actually Travis Scott's bobblehead. He has a bobblehead made for him, so it'll be given out each day of the tournament.
Okay, now when you say Travis Scott, the artist, the music artist,
Yeah.
Travis Scott,
Travis Scott, the music artist. He is that's his foundation, the Cactus Jack Foundation, is his foundation where he supports HBCUs through scholarship. They have a fund called the Wayman Webster Scholarship, which Wayman Webster was his grandfather, who was a professor at Prairie View, and actually was my last professor when I got my master's degree at Prairie View. His grandmother and grandfather both were professors there at Prairie View, and I believe his mother went there a while, and I think she may have graduated from Grambling. But so he does a major scholarships for HBCUs around the country.
Man, look at that, Drew. See how just things just kind of tie together, and it just in a nice, beautiful mixture. And it just, because I saw the track, and I'm like, Travis Scott, why is it Travis Scott bobblehead? And then you learn, and you're like, Travis Scott doing things for HBCUs,
not with
for HBCUs, along with the Houston Astros. So, I got
one last question before we get out of here.
Yeah, go ahead, Drew. Go
ahead. You haven't told us how much the tickets are, and if people are interested in coming, where they can go to find the tickets and find out more information about the event.
$10 will get you all 3 games each day. There's also pass. a $10 pass. There's also a 3-day $25 pass. So if you're going to be here for the weekend, you buy the $25 pass, you get to go to 9 baseball games, like you said earlier, Minute Maid Park. So I don't think you can beat the deal. I actually went to we have a lot of kids from our academy playing around the country, and I try to go see them. I think I paid less than $25 to go to a doubleheader. To be honest with
You pay more to go to a travel ball tournament than you will pay to come down there. Are the suites gonna be open if anybody's interested
We
in
do have
sharing?
suites available. Just going to give that information. We have suites available. We have, like I said, we wanted this to be a big event. We gave every college president a suite on us because we wanted their support. And so we're excited about that. Could have them here in Houston and put them up there. And that's not just for one game. That's for all 3 days. They have a suite for their use. Before I stop, people have already started asking me, what about next year? We're open to moving to some
Let's
other
get through
schools.
this year, people. Yeah, let's get through this year, people. Let's celebrate and get out to this year. Man.
I will give you the website real quick. It's astros.com/HBCU Classic. All the information you need there, even on the suite sales, everything is there. The prices have really been cut, on the suite. So definitely for sure, if you're in the town, you want to entertain, we have a couple of parents that have already bought suites because they want to entertain family that's coming in. So it's going to be a big time for us in Houston, and we're excited about it. I have 8 of my college teammates that are coming in. They're purchasing a suite. So it's like I said, and none of us played, in the SWAC, but we like and we support this event, and I appreciate that. I want everyone that'll just support us to come out and have a good time.
And if anyone needs a show co-host to come to their suite and maybe do a live segment or a show from the suite, I am available. I might have to fly out to Texas that weekend. Be a good time. I plan on getting to Houston, but now I've upped my plans now to get to Houston. I may have to come to Houston in 2 weekends, Drew. We may have to do this show from Houston. I'm just letting you know now, Drew. I may have to do this. I may just drive. Yeah, the heck with flying. I just get on I-10 and then head out.
Man, do you realize how far that is?
I do.
Where are you
but I'm willing
located?
to sacrifice. I'm in Orlando.
Oh,
But
man, I'm tell you what, I left Houston. I left Houston with my sons going to Disney World one year at 4 in the morning. I got to Orlando at 2 in the morning the next day, and I didn't stop. So I don't know if you want to do that. Of course, they were going to stay up with me all the way before I got to Baytown. They were snoring.
Yeah, I imagine. Again, the website, astros.com/HBCU Classic. That's the website. I'll make sure to put that here in the chat room for all of you guys. Make sure to please share it. If you're in the Houston, Dallas, Texas, Louisiana area, go support. If you are an alum of these 6 schools, go support. Tell your alumni base. Ask your national alumni president, are they supporting this? Are they promoting this? And more importantly, send a note, email to your president. Hopefully all the presidents will be there. Athletic directors will be there. Should be a good weekend. Great opportunity to network and be a part of this event. Anything else, Mr. Wade, that you wanted to share that maybe we didn't get a chance to talk about?
Not really. Just one. A lot of our corporate sponsors have suites there and going to be there, and they're opening up for those kids that have turned their resumes and get to interview with them right there at Minute Maid. So it's a good opportunity. I think actually tonight at midnight is the deadline. But if you go on our website there real quick, if you got some college kids listening in, it doesn't have to be one of these 6 schools. Any HBCU student can send their resume.
All right. So, hey, there's another little tip there. Any of you who know an HBCU athlete, please let them know. Astros.com.
Those have to be athlete either, correct?
Does that have to be athlete? Just an HBCU student.
Okay.
Oh, man. Well, hey, look. Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Drew. So, all you guys watching, I know you know a student, you know a family member or somebody. Let them know. Let them know about this and spread the word. Opportunities plenty. Don't say we never did anything for you. All right.
If I could real quick, I'll give these parents, if they're listening, my email address, and so I can try to help them get it in if they can't get in tonight. My email address is dwade@astros.com. And I think we had close to 200 kids signed up, but sky's the limit.
Give me that email address
All right.
again.
Yeah.
I got
I'm
it
the
right here.
original D. I know y'all down
You
there.
know
I'm
what?
the
Hey,
original
look, I was
D
just
Wade.
about to say that. I was just about to say that.
I tell people all the time, I'm
D-Wade,
the original D Wade
D-W-A-D-E.
at Astros.com.
D-W-A-D-E at Astros.com. All right.
Yeah.
Wait, but we'll make sure. I'll just put it on the screen. Make sure I got this right, Mr. Wade. Is that correct?
That's
There you
me.
go.
That's
That's correct.
me.
Yeah.
Like I said, any questions about the tournament or the classic, should I say, and that event, send me that message. I'll get right back with you.
Wow. All right. Well, hey, Mr. Wade, we appreciate you. Appreciate the Astros, the Cactus Jack Foundation. We're looking. This should be a great event. I'm looking forward to. Look, if something happens and I can't be there, I'm looking forward to watching it. But it's on my calendar. I'm already working, trying to figure out how I can make it. That goes into President's Weekend too. So hey, a lot of people might be taking time off. So if you got,
Didn't think about
you don't
that.
have school. Yeah, if you don't have school, your kids don't have school on Monday. If your district celebrates the President's Day weekend, hey, this can turn this into a great 4 or 5 day weekend and start it off in Houston. All right, great opportunity to get out and travel.
Hey,
great timing.
Get with me when you get in town. I'll make sure we get your spot somewhere.
Yes,
All
sir.
right,
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Again, Daryl Wade with the Houston Astros Youth Foundation, Youth Academy, excuse me, and of course the Astros Foundation Cactus Jack HBCU Classic, February 17th, 18th, and 19th, right there in Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Coming back on the other side, we're going to wrap it up with some basketball talk and our new top 5 rankings coming out. On the other side, you're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back in a moment.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Mobile banking from Truist actually works for you. It gives you simple, smart, personalized insights to keep you one step ahead. Because we think that's the kind of control you deserve over your money. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Truist. Download the mobile app now.
At Tyson, we know taste is local. Some like their beef pit smoked, their chicken spiced all the way up, or their pork sweet and saucy. Local flavors, global impact. That's what feeding the world is all about.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D here, looking to close up the show here with a little basketball talk, and we'll also release our top 5. Drew, did you notice? I know we were prepping and getting ready for this show. Did you happen to catch any or see the Pro Bowl stuff? The change in the format they did with the Pro Bowl?
Man, I could only stand about 30 minutes of it.
Okay, so yeah, you saw a little bit of it with the whole.
I saw enough to change the channel. How about that?
Flag football. That kind of. I thought I was gonna see some like 7-on-7 legitimate flag football, like what you see these kids out here playing in high school and stuff like that.
Camp, right?
Yeah. This was more like if me and some 40-year-olds got out there and played some flag football. That's what it would look like. It was worse than your Turkey Day family goes out and plays football and tackles each other for real in the backyard on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, that was like, come on, y'all. Can we at least run some routes? Maybe act like we're trying to cover somebody. It was just anyway. But
yeah, it was enough to be.
I guess Yeah, I thought the little skill competitions were more fun than anything. I saw the offensive lineman competitions and stuff. That looked pretty interesting.
Tried to catch the ball. Tried to catch the ball out the air. The lineman trying to catch the ball out the air.
Yeah. I still maintain I still say the old quarterback competitions are still, those are still fun to watch to this day. I even watch those when the old replays of those come on. I watch those.
Yeah.
So they are what they are. All right. So here's my thought, Drew. I thought, because I got a lot of basketball notes from the past couple of days. Well, first off, let me go back for a second. Let's go back before we did. Did we get to a point where we had talked about the recruiting top 5? I don't even remember now. Did we talk about that in the first hour? We talked about the National Signing Day top numbers and things of that nature.
I don't think you mentioned Jackson State FAMU, and then like there was a big drop after that. So I feel that we covered that. But you can give a quick summary of it if you want to.
Yeah. So you know what? Who was the other site that put out a poll? It was
247.
Well, I took a look at 247. I looked at Light on Sports. If you guys out there in the chat room, anybody else who did a good job of doing recaps
I've got one right here. Hold on just a second. Let's see.
Okay, so let me go through the ones that I've got.
Okay, this is actually the one from Light On.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, hold up. I'm supposed to put it on the going to put that one on the screen there, Brian.
Appreciate you guys in the chat room for watching us. Edwin Moore, appreciate you. Dr. Cavill, I'm nervous about. I'm already nervous about the bet. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know why, because I don't look good in purple. Just gotta make that be honest. Shout out to Karen Griffin, Jeremiah Clark, David Garner. See, so anybody new that didn't? I saw Stephen Gaither in there earlier. James Green, EA jumped in. Nick S. Okay, so rankings. This is from Light on Sports. They listed their top FCS overall rankings, and as it relates to HBCUs, obviously you have Campbell and Jackson State tied for first. I think 24/7 also had Campbell rated pretty high. They were in the top 100. I think 90 or 92. Jackson State was like 127th overall. Florida A&M comes in third on this poll when they were, you would say second among HBCUs, which they were also second among HBCUs on 24/7 Sports. Then you see Incarnate Word. Then you see Alabama A&M tied for fifth with Stephen F. Austin, which is interesting. Alabama A&M's in there. No other HBCUs cracked their top 10. Now, when I went and looked at 24/7 Sports and just going through their top 150, top 200, the first 5 HBCUs that you get Jackson State at 127, FAMU at 137, then UAPB, Arkansas Pine Bluff at 153, Texas Southern at 157, Southern University at 171. So that was the top 5. Now, which is kind of interesting that, obviously you didn't see Texas Southern there. Texas Southern was third or fourth on UAPB's roll, or on 24/7's composite for FCS, or at least top 100 Division I. And then you see Southern. So if you guys see any other polls out there, any other top 25 polls,
breaking news, Brian. Tennessee
that?
State won a Grammy tonight.
Okay.
So they were up for two Grammy nominations. I just saw that pop up on the screen. So
I saw that earlier, but I didn't know for what before I read it. I wanted to know for what.
Yeah, I know they were nominated for a gospel thing and something for something.
Somebody tell us.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, we're just talking, shooting from our hip. But let us know, what category did
Nick S.
Tennessee?
You put it in the chat.
Yeah,
Nick S.
Give us more
tell
details.
us
Give us more details.
Which category of the two that they were nominated for that they won the Grammy.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay.
Couple people
James
put
Green
it
even
in the
mentioned
chat
it.
now.
All right, good deal. So we should know that here in a second. Top 5. So here's what I want to do, Drew, with top 5s. Okay, I want to. Well, let me recap just some news and notes. Yeah, and then we'll talk top 5. So let's start Division I.
Can I ask a question? And this
You can always ask a question. Yeah.
This is Division I men's question.
Yeah.
And your parents are alum of Norfolk State University, correct?
Yes.
Norfolk State is approximately how far from the campus of Hampton University on the Bay?
Ooh, don't get me exact mileage, but I would say within 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. Norfolk and Hampton have played each other twice in basketball, Brian. These two schools are 20 minutes apart from each other, 20 to 30 minutes apart. 30 minutes with traffic.
Okay.
They have played one time in Vegas, one time in New Jersey. But these two schools are less than 30 minutes apart from each other. Somebody explain that to me. Explain that, not explain. Explain that.
Here's also one that's interesting, Drew. They're not playing. These teams used to play a lot. Now look, don't quote me here. I don't think they play twice a year. They used to
But
play
that's since they're
twice a
not
year
in
when they were in
conference.
the same conference, right? So
Both
that means the
CIAA
Battle of
and
the
BA.
Bay, right? So the Battle of the Bay is now just a one-time event. And yeah, like you said, last year was in Vegas.
No,
this year.
This year they played in Vegas. This year, well, before the
Really?
calendar turn. It was before the calendar turn, but it was this season.
What?
They
November?
They played one of those preseason tournaments in November in Vegas.
Okay, wow,
No,
I didn't know that.
No, check that. That was December. That was after the Celebration Bowl. That was the day after that was during the Celebration Bowl weekend that they played in Vegas. And the reason I remember that because I remember having to drop Dr. Cavill off at the airport because he flew to Vegas to see Texas Southern play, and I remember Norfolk and Hampton were in that event, and then they just played in Newark, New Jersey yesterday, Brian.
What do you want me to tell you, Drew? I don't. Well, how about three MEAC schools played in the Legacy Classic in Newark, New Jersey. Morgan State and Delaware State. Morgan State won 75-65.
And that was a conference game.
Yeah, Norfolk State 83-71. It was the Chris Paul Classic that was in Vegas that had Norfolk State and Hampton. So, were there any? I'm trying to recall offhand. Were there any SWAC schools that were a part of that Chris Paul Classic?
Texas Southern played someone that weekend. Don't quote me, but I know Texas Southern played someone that particular weekend.
All right. Interesting. I don't know what the attendance numbers were. Let me see if I got the box score here. Let me look. Let me see if the box score shows what the attendance was for that game. It doesn't really. And it doesn't really show here. So I don't know what the I'm just curious to see what the attendance was like at the stadium that they played in.
Brian, they won for Best Roots Gospel. The psychedelic literature says Tennessee State won for Best Roots Gospel. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place with our conversation right now.
Yeah, no, that's all right though. Best Roots Gospel. I won't go into trying to figure out what that is, but I'll do that offline. I'll look into it a little more. But it's a Grammy, so hey, congratulations, Tennessee State. So, okay, wait a minute. What did that score say? 65, 75, 65. Yeah, 10-point game for Morgan, and 12-point victory for Norfolk State. I believe Norfolk State, did they win or lose the first time they played Hampton?
Dr. Cavill said it was 13,000 in Jersey.
Okay, 13,000. Hey, okay, man, you know what? That's pretty good. That's really good. That is, it shut my mouth because that's
there's some
more
football
than
games that don't draw that kind of crowd.
Hey, look, thank you. There's some football games that Norfolk State and Hampton played that don't draw 13. Let me not say that. I'm sorry. Did I say that? But yeah, no, that's pretty good. Good job. At the Prudential Center to the HBCU folks that showed up there for
13,451.
Yeah, the number was there.
Prudential Center's capacity is 18,711, so about 75% capacity.
Yeah, no, hey, 13,000. That basically means that all your lower bowl was taken care of, and only the upper spots in the upper deck were empty. Yeah, the super nosebleeds, which
and probably nobody was in there anyway because they probably did like a football game, but it was walking around the concourse.
Yeah, at that point, anybody in the upper deck. Yeah, so
Thank
hey,
you,
okay, second year of that event, if I'm not mistaken, correct? I believe so for Michael B. Jordan's event. So okay, well, Now, the question is, I had somebody ask me offline, can a matchup from the South, would a matchup of SWAC teams do well in Newark, New Jersey at Michael B. Jordan's event? I don't know. It's interesting, but I would like to see a SWAC MEAC matchup non-conference in one of these events, to be honest with you. I mean, we don't need to see I put it like this.
We don't need to see a conference game.
I would discourage seeing two conference teams play each other. The Delaware State, Morgan State, I don't know what that was about. It is what it is, okay? So, but Hampton, Norfolk State, as you said, two rivals that are 30 minutes apart playing up the road. Now, I will say, Drew, there are a lot of Norfolk State and Hampton alums in that area. So that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense for them playing that game. Now, the question is, I'm just going to throw it out there, would a Florida A&M, King James School, matched up against
Howard?
Who?
FAMU Howard, I think would do good.
Yeah. Would love to see that again. That'd be, now I think FAMU Howard would draw. That would draw. Just on the school names, and I'm sure you're taking pet bands up there. So that would draw. That would be a good one. There's a lot of opportunities there, but
I think if you took that game to maybe a Carolina, maybe a Charlotte or Greensboro or something, a game like that, and you got one of the Carolina schools to play a SWAC school, I think that would be a good draw also in that region. You get a Central, A&T, when South Carolina State used to be in the basketball business, even a CIAA team against one of those SWAC teams would be a good draw in the Carolina region.
What was it? I think I remember on Doc's show they were discussing Charlotte finding their way back into putting a bid in for the CIAA. Obviously, I think maybe that might be a couple of years away, but that would be a great introduction for Charlotte.
Baltimore has
that idea that you just
25 or 26. I think it's 25.
Yeah, so it'd be a good opportunity for Charlotte to possibly host something, like that, just to kind of throw that out there. So that was the only MEAC game on the schedule, if I'm not mistaken. I think the MEAC kind of
Saturday.
Yeah, they kind of took the Saturday and allowed those three MEAC schools and to kind of have the spotlight, and so nobody else really played that day.
This was their flip time in their schedule. Also,
the midpoint of the season. Yeah, midpoint of the season for them. And if we take a look at the so upcoming, and actually it's a week, so really the whole week is off, because the only other matchup that is happening this week in the MEAC is Tuesday, where Delaware State hosts Chicago State, and then they got Saturday. So everybody sort of has a
conference matchup.
Yeah, then you get Saturday, a full slate of action where you get big time matchup on Saturday, Drew. Norfolk State at Maryland Eastern Shore. Maryland Eastern Shore is real. They are real. They so Norfolk State, if you're gonna, they've looked pretty unbeatable at home, but now here's Maryland Eastern Shore. If you didn't believe, this is the game. I can't wait to see what the line is for that. I got a feeling if it's showing anything as Maryland Eastern Shore as a dog, that's where I'm barking. I'm just letting you know that now. Howard at Delaware State, Morgan State at North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central, aren't they on like let me look here, like 4 or 5 game losing streak, I think, right now. They're
What school you said, Brian?
Yes. Oh, it's a 3-game. It's a 3-game losing streak right now for North Carolina Central. But they've had a tough stretch here. They played all three teams that they have lost to are 3 teams that are sitting in like first or second place. That's Norfolk State, Howard, and Maryland Eastern Shore. 2 of those were on the road. So practically, let me see. That was on January 30th on a Monday. So you're talking 12 days off for North Carolina Central before they take on Morgan. So a great opportunity for them to sort of reset themselves and reset their goals. I'm sure that's what Coach Lavelle Moulton is going to be using that time period for. Jumping over to the SWAC. In the men's side of the SWAC, Grambling, as we talk with Charles Edmonds, we know we have a tie between now Southern and Alcorn State at 8-2 in conference play. Grambling State is 7-3, 1 game back after a 73-60 win in that contest. Of course, Florida A&M with a big win, 76-69. The Rattlers put up 76 points. Just unbelievable given what we've been playing. So shout out to FAMU. And now the Rattlers will travel to Prairie View Monday. Ooh, can't wait for them to show up and paint that place orange and green with a great alumni base. So, all right, Drew, let's take a look at the men's Division I rankings. New rankings.
Going men?
Just men Division I, and then we'll kind of recap Division II stuff here in a second. Men Division I. Men Division I rankings. A new number 1 team sitting at the top of the poll. But let me do I got to get you. You guys want me to do this in reverse order, so I can't get excited because then I've ruined it already. But anyway, in the hunt there, you've got Southern, Morgan State, Tennessee State, North Carolina Central, UAPB. That's the 6 through 10 teams that we call in the hunt. So the top 5, number 5 is Alcorn State. Last week outside of the polls, currently sitting and tied in first place in the conference. Former number 1 was Grambling State. They are now number 4. And 14-8 overall, 7-3, a game out of first place. Norfolk State moving up 2 spots to number 3. They were once a number 1 ranked team in the poll. 5-2 in MEAC play after the win Saturday. 16-7 overall after the win against Hampton. Slightly ahead of Norfolk State. Number 2 is Howard. Howard, who beat Norfolk State. Little controversial play there the last time they met at Norfolk State. And I think Howard has been on a winning streak ever since. They're sitting at 6-1, tied in first place in the MEAC. And the new number 1 team, and I think, Drew, this is the 6th consecutive week we have had a new number 1 team in our Division I men's poll. Now it's Maryland Eastern Shore, who I think are on a 5-game winning streak, I believe.
Maryland Eastern Shore is, give me a second, I will tell you exactly what they are at. They are 7 games, Brian.
7 game, okay. 7 game, even better.
Yes.
7-game winning streak. Unbeaten
Followed
at home.
Followed closely by Howard, 6-game winning streak.
Yeah. So you see how that works? So when they ask you how, and then of course, unbeaten at home, hosting Norfolk State on Saturday. Woo-hoo, that is going to be hot. That's going to be a hot ticket. I don't know how many folks that arena can hold there at Maryland Eastern Shore, but that is going to be a hot ticket, to say the least.
Hey, Brian, did you notice how close teams 1 through 3 were in our rankings?
Yes. Yes.
Really
Yes.
no degree of separation, especially between number 2 and number 3.
The separation is who won, who beat who.
Pretty much.
Maryland East. That's all it is. Howard beat Norfolk State, and I think Norfolk State's other loss was to Maryland Eastern Shore, possibly.
Correct.
I don't. Yeah. So
And
that's how
Maryland
close it
Eastern
is right
Shore
now.
and Maryland Eastern Shore put the one on Howard. If I have
Good
that
point.
correct.
Good point. Okay, move over to Division II for a second. Let me catch up with some news and notes here, recapping the Division II from the past week. The team that had a good week, Johnson C. Smith, Drew. Not only did they knock off our number 1 team, Virginia Union, 79-71. Of course, Virginia Union's in first place in the Northern Division. Then on Saturday, Johnson C. Smith beat the number 1 team in the South, Fayetteville State, 71-63. Of course, both of those games are at home. But anyway, Johnson C. Smith would probably be the quote-unquote team of the week, I think, Drew, based off their 2 wins against 2 top teams. Just looking at the standings, and we've got about 2 weeks before the CIAA tournament in Baltimore. That'll take place February 21st and 25th. So we're right about the final 2 weeks of the regular season. And I think the SIC is the following week. So we got 3 weeks left in the SIC. Over in the SIC, we had, it's kind of interesting, Drew. Our number 1, 2, and 3 teams all lost this past week because number 2, Tuskegee, lost yesterday to Lane, 83-81 on the road. And number 3, Miles, lost on the road at the buzzer practically in overtime, 84-83 to Kentucky State. So, 1, 2, and 3
And
all
Savannah
go
State
down.
also this week.
Did they lose, Savannah State men?
Well, was Savannah State the only team that didn't lose?
Well, no, West Virginia State, they actually, they're our number 4 team. They came off of a 111-77 win over Wheeling on Saturday.
No, Savannah did
so
not lose. I'm staying correct.
Yeah. So West Virginia State, with the big win there, they're 4th in their conference right now. So let's take a look at before I get into talking about the standings, let's take a look at the Division II new rankings. In the hunt, you got Savannah State dropped out, so that's Savannah State, Lincoln, Missouri, West Virginia
First time
State.
we've seen them this year.
Yeah, Tuskegee and Winston-Salem State. That's our in the hunt group. So number 5, Lemoyne Owen, 17-7 overall, 12-4 in conference play, still holding in their 5th spot. Let me take a quick look and see where Lemoyne Owen is in the standings. I think they are.
Yes, it's behind Tuskegee and Miles, if I remember when I looked at
Actually, they're one game behind Miles in the Western Division. 1 game behind Miles. Virginia State moves into the top 5 at number 4, 16-7 overall, 9-3. Virginia State is currently in 2nd place, kind of 3 games. Now, what's interesting, in conference, they're tied up with Virginia Union at 9-3. If it ever came down to a tiebreaker, the tiebreaker might hurt Virginia State because within the division, Virginia State right now is 3-3. Virginia Union is 6-0. within the division. So just something to keep in mind here as we go down the stretch. Miles, of course, stays put at number 3, in first place in the SIAC West, 13-5 in conference play. Number 2, rising up all the way to number 2 is Claflin, tied for first in the CIAA South, 8-4, 17-4 overall record. Interesting, Drew. Look at 2 schools I want you to look at. Claflin, where they're at, and Winston-Salem State, who also is tied for first in the CIAA South. Look at the difference, and that's just one game. That's interesting. Such a 7-point difference.
I'll tell you what Claflin picked up points on the computer. They beat a very good Benedict team in a non-conference game this past Thursday. Benedict sitting at 14-9 overall, 12-5 in the SIAC. They defeated Benedict on this past Thursday. Waiting on my computer. That was by a score of 57-52. Claflin got that victory, so that helped Claflin out with their quote-unquote style points from the computer, strength of schedule points.
All right. And the number 1 team for at least the second consecutive week remains Virginia Union. So even though despite that loss on Wednesday to Johnson C. Smith, they still sit in first place, tied for first place with Virginia State, but they have a 19-5 overall record, 6-0 within the division, even though they're 9-3. Drew, let me draw your attention to some key games this week. This is one of the things that I wanted to make sure I do to let people know some games you ought to pay attention to. In the CIAA, now you got 3 teams all tied up at 8-4 in the CIAA. Winston-Salem State, Claflin, Fayetteville State. Winston-Salem State Rams have a 5-1 record, so I know Stephen Gaither's happy about that. Chris Ferguson, Rams looking.
Think we just lost Bryan there for a moment. Are you there, Bryan?
On Thursday, Claflin, that is going to be a big game, 8 o'clock at Winston-Salem State. I know that is going to be a jam-packed gymnasium.
Right. Go back and repeat your last statement about Winston. Go back and repeat your statement about Winston-Salem State. We lost you there for a moment.
Okay, Claflin is at Winston-Salem State on Thursday, 8 p.m. Okay.
All right.
Then Saturday, you've got Winston-Salem State traveling to Fayetteville State on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So, the Rams can really separate themselves with 2 wins or worse, 2 losses could push them from being tied for first into possibly third, should it swing that way. Okay. Then over in the SIC, some key games. Tomorrow, you've got now, I didn't see Tuskegee on our top 5, but you had Lemoyne Owen. So they host Tuskegee Monday night, 8:30 p.m. That'll be a good game. Tuskegee formerly was the number 2 team last week. Just a week ago, Tuskegee was sitting as number 2. How about Morehouse at Savannah State on Monday? We just watched Morehouse. Savannah State is in the hunt. So Savannah State is in first place in the
Morehouse, the winners of 5 in a row.
Yes, 5 in a row going up against the SIAC East leader, Savannah State. So that will be an interesting game tomorrow night. Saturday in the SIAC, it's what I call Rivalry Saturday, where you've got some interesting matchups. between rivals. You have Morehouse versus Clark. That's at Clark. Savannah State at Edward Waters. Allen at Benedict. Tuskegee at Spring Hill. Central State at Kentucky State. Fort Valley State at Albany State. And Lemoyne Owen at Lane.
So who's not
What do you call
playing?
that?
Who's not playing?
Morehouse.
One team not playing.
Morehouse.
Morehouse. Okay.
Morehouse.
Morehouse is not playing.
Morehouse.
You know what I call that?
Actually, because
it's travel partner Saturday. Everybody's playing their travel partner in the SIAC.
Okay. Well, and obviously, okay. Yeah, and Morehouse is actually playing, let's see, they just played Saturday. They play Monday, and then they play Wednesday. They go back to Edward Waters on Wednesday. So that'll be 3 games in.
But I thought you said Morehouse was playing Clark, though. Who's playing Clark? Saturday.
Oh, you're right. Morehouse is playing Clark. Yeah.
So
what do you mean somebody who's not playing?
Edward Waters is not playing. Yo, you said Edward Waters is playing.
Waters is playing. Everybody's, how many schools
Savannah's
are in
not
the
playing.
SIC, Drew?
13. There's always
said
one team not playing. There's always one team. Savannah's not playing Saturday.
Drew, there's 14 teams. I gave you there's 7 games. There are 14 teams in the SIC.
15. There's 15 teams.
Okay,
There's
so
14 women, 15 men. So Savannah. It's Savannah.
No, Savannah State is playing Edward Waters. I just said that. Look at the show notes. Look at the pre-show notes. I just wrote it. I did all this research. And you didn't even look at the notes. The question I saw in here by Edward is the CIAA stronger than the SIAC this year?
I can't answer that. I haven't seen the CIAA team in person. I would say.
Okay. All right. Let's go over to the NAIA. Let's pull up the NAIA because I know I just looked at our time and we've been here for a minute. I don't want to keep us too long. Take a look at the NAIA top 5. All right, in the hunt, in the top 5, you've got Xavier at 15-7, 10-5 in conference play, and Stillman sitting at 13-9, 9-5 in conference play. Number 5 this week, new number 5 is Dillard University, moving in 13-5 overall, 5-3 in conference play. And fortunately for us, the number 4 team is Philander Smith, still same as last week. Currently 16-4, 6-3 in conference play. Arkansas Baptist remains third, 11-5, 3-0 in conference play. Number 2, Langston University, 21-2 is their overall record, 16-2 in conference play. And the number 1 team holding strong for another week, Tougaloo. The Bulldogs are 21-1, 9-0 in conference play.
What you did not bring out, Brian, is the fact that Langston picked up their second loss this week.
I just saw that.
Yes, they lost yesterday to. Give me a second, and while I pull that up, Miles is a team that's not playing in the SIAC.
Okay.
I had to actually look at it and study it first. They lost to Wayland Baptist 90-80 on yesterday. Yes,
well,
and Wayland Baptist is and Wayland Baptist is a team, I believe, if they aren't still ranked, they are receiving votes in the IA. So they lost to a good team in Wayland Baptist.
Langston's still ranked, aren't they?
They are. New rankings come out this week for NAIA.
All right. Okay. All right, Drew, let's jump over to the women's top 5 now. See if we got any new teams sitting on top of the board. In the hunt, we've got Howard University, Bethune-Cookman, Southern, Alabama State, and UAPB all in the hunt. Coming in at number 5, the Alabama A&M Lady Bulldogs, 9-11 overall, 7-3 in conference play. So that puts them 2 games out of conference leader, Jackson State. North Carolina A&T State, is 8-2 in conference play in the not Big South, the Colonial. They dropped from 3rd to 4th. Are they still tied or still at the top of the leaderboard
They're
for?
number two. They're number two. Second in the conference right now.
All right, solid number 2 in the Colonial. Number 3, look who's slowly starting to move their way up the polls. Jackson State, 9-1 in conference play, starting to separate from their SWAC sisters. 12-8 overall in 4th place. And then number 2, still holding at number 2, Norfolk State. I don't think they played this past week.
No.
Because I believe they were 17-4 last week, 5-1. Morgan State was 13-6, 6-0 as well. They are the number 1 team again. So 1 and 2 stayed consistent in the MEAC, with Jackson State moving up to 3. North Carolina A&T State moving down a spot. All right, let's move over to D2 women. In the hunt, Miles, Elizabeth City State. I got some interesting notes there on the standings in the CIAA. Winston-Salem State, Kentucky State, and Lane College all coming in what would be 6 through 10. Number 5, holding strong, is Savannah State, still in the top 5. 15-6 overall, 11-5 in conference play. Let me pull up my notes here. Savannah State. Tough week for Savannah State, who, and the next tiebreaker, Drew, is probably within division. And I think Savannah State has the tiebreaker in division. So that'll be interesting. And so that'll be interesting to pay attention to. Number 4 in our top 5 polls is same as last week. It's Fayetteville State. They are 10-2 in conference play. Number 3 is Lincoln, PA. They are 9-2 in conference play. Number 2, West Virginia State, still holding at number 2, 12-4 overall, despite losing earlier in the week, 101-92. They did come back and answer with a 83-78 overtime win on Saturday. So they kind of had a 1-1 weekend, but they still had enough points to keep them at 2. And then, of course, the number 1 team is Tuskegee, running away with this 15-0, 18-3. I'm looking at their points, Drew, 98.4. If 100 is the max, did we ever have that? How high was that Jackson State team a year ago? About 99 something?
We changed the system. So
you changed the formula a bit.
We changed the formula to make it easier for everyone to read and put it on a 100-point scale this year. So
okay. I wonder if you think about it, maybe going back and just kind of punch in Jackson State's season from a year ago. I wonder if it's 99 point what from last year. I'm curious.
Yeah,
we're looking at a historic season. Has Tuskegee ever finished the regular season unbeaten? To your recollection?
Not to my knowledge. And this is unprecedented for Tuskegee. The best team that I recall seeing during my time at SIAC, there was a Fort Valley team coached by Lonnie Bartlett that only had 1 loss in the regular season. And ironically, I believe Tuskegee was the team that beat them that year under Coach Roby. But they were like 20, I think that's what we were playing, 24 games. They would wound up being like 23-1 or something like that. I remember Tuskegee, that was pre-division, so everybody played everybody twice. And Tuskegee was the only team that beat them. We beat them at home. I do recall that year. Fort Valley and matter of fact, Fort Valley and Tuskegee got bids to the tournament that year. As I believe Fort Valley wound up winning the tournament that year also. Brian, did you notice one other thing about our D2 women's poll before we flip over to NAIA? Everyone's in the same exact order as they were last week, Brian. No changes. Just the numbers changed.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I started the way I did with mentioning Savannah State, even the fact that they went 1-1.
Yes.
Let me again, 2 weeks left before the CIAA tournament ends. Let me just give people an update on standings here over on the women's side. In the North, our Lincoln, PA is currently sitting at 9-2 in conference play. They have won 9 of their last 10 games. Lincoln, PA has, but they only have a 1-game lead over Bowie State. And ECSU, Elizabeth City State, sits at 8-5 in conference play. So they kind of sit, it's an interesting week this week because on Thursday, ECU takes on Bowie State. So that's an opportunity for somebody to really start to separate themselves that week. Lincoln has been off since they lost by 20 to ECSU, and that's why I wanted to mention that that 9 out of the last 10 games. Well, that one loss in those last 10 games was the last time they played back on January 28th, where they lost by 20. Lincoln lost by 20 to ECSU. So Elizabeth City State will take on Virginia State, and Lincoln is kind of. Can you imagine losing by 20, Drew, and then you're sitting around for about a week without a game? I wonder what those practices were like.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, been there, done that. That's not pretty. So
no, it's not pretty.
So that game, that is Monday night. Lincoln
that
at
day
Virginia
off y'all
State.
was gonna have. Y'all just lost it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a 5:30 tip. Then on Thursday, Elizabeth City State at Bowie, Thursday 5:30, and then Saturday, a matchup between two of the top teams in the South, Winston-Salem State at Fayetteville State. That is a 2 p.m. game on Saturday. Fayetteville State has a 2-game lead over the Rams, and so that could drop to 1 should that ends up going Winston-Salem State's way. All right, go over to the NAIA women, and we can close out the top 5 with this group of teams in this poll. And the top 5 for the NAIA in the hunt: Xavier at 14-9, Langston University 13-11, Wiley College, Stillman College at 13-10, and Huston-Tillotson at 9. Houston-Tillotson, excuse me, at 9-10. So our top 5. Number 5 is Arkansas Baptist. The women are also, so the men and women for Arkansas Baptist are in the top 5. The women 11-6, 3-0 in conference play. Fisk is the number 4 team, 7-2 in the GCAC, 13-6. Philander Smith is number 3, 6-2 in the GCAC, 15-4 overall. Florida Memorial, the Lions are 12-1, holding at number 2 with an 18-5 record. Pretty nice record there for Florida Memorial. And how about Rust? Rust College, the number 1 team for another week, 9-0 in the GCAC, 16-3 overall. So again, that's our top 5.
Hey Brian, before we get out of here, GCAC roundup finished up today. These games were not included in these rankings. I'm gonna quickly go over the women and then come back and go over the men for you. Looking at the women, Oakwood defeated Suno 81-69. That game was played at Rusk College. Fisk defeated Wiley 64-57 in a game that was at Tougaloo. Scrolled it down. Russ. Upset, Brian. Philander defeated Russ. 72-62.
Whoa.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, it's
Might be a
not
new
really an
number one
upset
next
when you're
week.
talking about
No,
number
two of the
3
top
beating number
teams.
1. Yeah.
Isn't that a
But
championship? That's the two teams that were in the championship last year, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
correct.
Yeah. What was
And
the score on
we're
that
still
again? Give that score again.
72-62.
Ooh, Philander Smith with a 10-point
And that
win.
was at Russ. So
At
Philander
Rust,
defeated them
yeah.
on their
Wow.
own floor.
Yeah.
And we're
Oh,
still
got to hear
waiting
from Coach
on
Jackson on that one. Find out what happened.
and we're still waiting on the score from Dillard and Tougaloo. So that's the final game of on the women's side of the roundup. Quickly flipping over to the men's side of that roundup, Brian. Oakwood defeated Suno 85-64. No score from Fisk and Wiley. No score. Tougaloo and Dillard haven't played. That game is scheduled for 8 o'clock. I believe that is 8 o'clock Central Time. So that game is just tipping off. And Philander Smith defeated Rust on the men's side, or is leading. Let me take that back. Philander Smith is leading Rust on the men's side with 9 minutes remaining in the ball game, 57-41.
And you can probably find these games on HBCU League Pass Plus.
Yes.
Yeah, you
I
can
know. I
probably
saw
go find these games.
I know I Tougaloo roundup on League Pass Plus.
Man, if I had known about that Russ Philander Smith, I would have tuned in and watched a little bit of that. Man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, doggone. There goes name number one, and you lose on the same day you get name number one. It happens though. But first conference loss of the season for Rust. All right. Is anything that we left out, Drew? Anything that you wanted to mention that we didn't get a chance to? I'm going through the notes myself.
Man, this show been so long, I'd have forgot it if I was supposed to mention it by now.
Nice. Well, then, in that case, let me thank our guest for joining us. Got to thank Charles
You
Edmond.
forgot who been on the show. It's been so long.
I'm looking at it right here, and I'm just trying to make sure I get all my ducks in a row. So we had Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Sports Radio Network. We had Mr. Dwayne Wade, the original D. Wade from the Houston Astros Youth Foundation, that All-Star Classic, the Cactus Jack HBCU Classic will be taking place February 17th, 18th, and 19th. Again, I previously had put in the chat feed the website, which was astros.com/HBCU Classic. And I don't know, Drew, if you got the video graphic, if you want to drop that up on the screen real quick so we can show that in case we got people who just joined us here in the last hour, half hour. So, yeah, that's going to be at Minute Maid Park, where the world champion Houston Astros play, managed by Mr. Dusty Baker. And so, there's the game schedule. So Prairie View, Grambling, Texas Southern, Mississippi Valley State, Southern, and Jackson State are all participating. They'll all play 3 games, one a day. There's even a college fair on Saturday morning. So if you're in the Houston area, Texas area, there's no excuse. None. And it's President's Day weekend. So if you're not from the Houston area and you can get to this game this weekend, be there. $25 gets you a 3-day pass.
Southwest,
$10.
Spirit, Delta, somebody flies. It's two airports in Houston. Somebody get you there.
$10 for a day pass to see 3 games. $25 for the entire. That's probably the best deal you could ever get take your kid out to the ballpark, take a young person out to the ballpark, sponsor some tickets even. I would even say if you know some young people who play sports, go sponsor some tickets. $50 for, hey, that's 5 tickets right there. So there's a way. And these are the kind of events that we have to get behind and support and rally behind. The games will be streamed on Astros.com Friday and Saturday. Then I think on Sunday they'll be on MLB TV. But there's plenty of ways to watch these games if for some reason you're unable to be there. So
Hey, I'm gonna put it like this, Brian. If you are a parent whose child is on the travel ball circuit, especially travel baseball, it is cheaper for you to get in to this HBCU Classic than it is for you to pay for admission to get into most travel ball tournaments as a fan.
Right. Well said. Appreciate everybody in the chat room. Tamara T, I see you out there. Shout out. Hey, Tamara, do me a favor. Send that email to me, please. I need to get some information to you. So please send me an email. You all, everybody out there, you can reach us, Drew and me. You can reach Drew on Twitter at BCSN Drew. Make sure you're following him. Follow him all the time. You can find me at DRB365. You can find the show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, and those are the great social media plugs. Our good friend producer Mel even made a TikTok. So for those of you who are on TikTok, go find BCSN SportsWrap. Most likely it'll be the same user tag at MyBCSN1 or BCSN. I'm not really sure. I don't do TikTok, but I'm sure producer Mel knows, and we'll try to feature some stuff there. And that's going to be it. We appreciate you supporting us. In the description of this show, we are celebrating 25 years of broadcasting Black college athletics, and on this same internet space with so many other folks. And we just ask that if anything that you can give and donate to the show or to the programs are greatly appreciated. So there's a link in the description. Of course, you can always donate to the show in the chats. You can do super chats.
Super chat.
You can send a cash app to $MyJBN, MyBCSN. Every little dollar helps us to continue with the content that we're pushing out. Not everybody's doing 3-hour shows. Just these two fools. We're the only two doing that kind of content. So I had to put us out.
Let's pick up the show and get out of here, man.
Let's pick up the show and get out of here, as my man Drew says. So again, thanks to everybody. Facebook on all the social media platforms. BCSN Pod Zone. Go find it. Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, BCSN Pod Zone. With that said, that's AD. I'm Brian. Peace out, everybody. Good night.
Well, holla.
But you stay on hard.